Welcome in. Hail to the chat. Hail to the first 500. Let's go.
Maybe in the last minute of your life, you want to be something more than a goddamn savage!
Annunziare mendaccio. Ego sum homo indomitus.
Fearless wretch, insanity. He watches the game fantasy. Cradle one, forbidden sight. He searches under up the shadows and
Like this, like being food for the immortal.
What is happening, my savage friends? Welcome to Savage Spirituality. Notice that the Savage Show contains strong language, sensitive subject matter, images, and content intended for a mature 18 years or older audience. Viewer discretion is advised. This video contains copywritten content, however, under the Fair Use Act, Section 504C2, Title 17 of the United States Code. This content is presented for the purposes of education, entertainment through the use of parody, satire, critique, analysis, and/or social commentary by means of subjective opinion. Decalcify your pineal gland and pay the fuck attention. You are listening to Immortal COIL, he who has pierced the veil and come back to fuck you in the ear hole. Humble Crystal Skull and Interstellar Stallion. Joining me, my esteemed co-host, never kneeling, never bowing, always erect, the time-traveling creator of the Y chromosome. He just might be your ancestor, here to rattle your tympanic membrane, the motherfucking author, Stephen Walton. What is happening, sir?
That's a hell of an entrance, man. That's a hell of an intro.
I pumped you up. You better deliver, buddy.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Let me turn the ego on. Hail the motherfucking chat. What is going on, everybody? Make sure never to kneel. Do not deal with toxic people. When you see them coming your way, you smack them aside like the dancing evil clowns they are, and you truck forward into productivity, doing the best for yourself. Keep your third eye open. Keep your connection to source strong. And yeah, never kneel. Ever. Unless you're eating pussy. If you're eating some, then you can kneel.
But
You know what I mean?
That's
Okay. Yeah.
Right on, dude. Yes, this next segment is brought to you by True Nuts. Yes, True Nuts. You know them if you got them. We want to say, hail to the chat right off. We have our loyal soldier RR coming in strong. He's got the heat. He's got the guitars and the drums. He's digging the fucking intro. And then he's also laughing with the Walton intro. Never kneel unless you're eating pussy.
Yeah, you know.
That should be a bumper sticker, man.
You know, that's actually, make it a t-shirt. Yeah, why not? You know, I need to sell some merch. I need to rebuild my social and start selling some shit, make some money off of it.
Fuck yeah, dude. So RR's coming back saying New Year's starting like the last year ended. This is the first show of the new year. It's also the first show following the solstice. How was your solstice?
How was my solstice? My solstice was interesting. It was good.
Okay.
It was, yeah, you know, it was good. If you want to know how my solstice was, guys, please check out my channel, Adonis Dragon Storm, and the video that's popping right now, almost at 500 views.
Is that one that you sent in the DM?
No, that went to members.
Okay.
I actually gave it because listen, if I put out something like that, every narcissist and toxic person across YouTube would get an erection. Yeah, they would just like feed into it. You know, they start beating themselves off. Oh my God, look how he's talking about me. He hates me. Oh my God, I love it. Oh, let's talk shit. Let's make things up and have live streams about Walton. I'll be like, no, no, thank you. My solstice was interesting. A hovering hobgoblin came back into view, trying to get Christmas money, and I honest to God, you know, as COIL, I talked to. You're the only. By the way, COIL is the only person I talked to about this. He's the only person out of everybody I know, besides my sons, who gave me a very stern talk before she came over, and you know, it was COIL. You know, actually, you know, it's in the realm of spirituality. This demon comes into my house, sits down, starts reading the Satanic Bible, right? And my kitchen outlet exploded. Like it went on fire, that because she was here for so long. It just started freaking, and I'm like, and I know it because this house is
affecting the power grid.
Absolute, dude. No, it was my spirit. Look, my spirit guides. I've been to so many people. I've done protection spells, cleansings. I talked to a psychic medium. You know what I mean? Like I got, you know, I did all this spiritual work, you know, inner work, you know, to get rid of the darkness that was in me. Right. When I went to the psychic medium, Jory Lynn out of Daytona, Florida, guys, please check her out. She's excellent. And she did this meditation with me where she removed this dark entity that I had that was a part of me, because we have spirit guides. You know, for those of you that don't know, I mean, this is spiritual stuff, so I can talk about this.
Yeah.
So, okay, so when you're born, you know, you get like a spirit guide. You get guardian angels. There's like, okay, imagine it's like you're playing a video game and you've got like these slots, like armor slots, all right, around you, and you can. When you're born, when you're level 1, you get one automatically, right? There's a protector there for you already. And as you go through life, especially if you go into a spiritual journey and you begin opening doors in your mind and looking at other dimensions and things like that, spirit dream walking, astral projection, you come in contact with other beings that you can then, that if they're negative, they'll attach themselves to you, especially if you're like a bad person. And you commit yourself to negative karma because you attract that, like attracts like. But on the spirit realm, I mean, so you can also like bring things in to help you, ancestors, other worldly creatures or beings, you know, spiritual beings. And so at some point in my development, I guess it was when I was going through my early life and I was going through a lot of abuse or whatnot. I had this dark entity came part of me. It's kind of, and to be honest, it's kind of connected to the black dragon aspect of my yin yang.
I was going to ask, because you spent a number of years like courting the darker.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've been amazed.
It's going to attract those elements to your life. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. Voodoo. And necromancy, all that. Yeah. And mind you, necromancy isn't necessarily dark, but there's the way dark aspects to it. And so, yeah, so she helped to remove this thing. And one of the things that she said when we were going through this session was, when this darkness that I had that was a part of me that at one time helped, but then eventually became toxic and draining, was attracted to Narc X, attracted to her demons. And I can see it entirely. So this last time that I was going through the Hoover, you know, and I'll be honest, I did have a little bit of hope. I had a little tiny bit of hope, and I still had love, because it's hard not to love somebody that you love like to the extreme. And but like from the first moment she sat down, it was all double talk. It was just because I've trained myself. Not only have I rebuilt myself, I'm also way more aware. I have clarity. That darkness was gone. I had found peace. And so everything that I'd learning about what narcissism was and what narcissistic abuse is, and then, you know, doing the channel, I could tell, you know, when this chick is saying things that are meant to bring up memories, and it's all manipulation. So it's benign. It's supposed to come off benign, you know, when she said, I used to say, I'm not going to go over too much. What I went, just went what I went through in the video I put out. So I used to tell her that I adored her. That was the special thing between us. Look, I love you more than these other guys that have broken you and destroyed you and cheated on you and tore you up and destroyed your self confidence and all this stuff that she, you know, this her story. That's the narcissistic story, and you know, so I adore you. I don't just love you, I adore you. So she comes in, she sits down, she says, I know deep down inside, because she says the other guy has multiple personality disorder. And the other guy has this old man that lives inside of him and this little boy. And the little boy loves her and adores her. And she said, I know deep down, he adores me. And I know what that means. That is meant to trigger me, to put me again in competition with this triangulation, to make me jealous, to trigger traumas. And I can see it. So clear as, and it's like as soon as you started pulling that shit, I just kind of, I turned, you know, I had the psycho switch on. I had my emotions turned down to like the lowest setting, and I just started paying attention. She even went as far. I didn't say this in the video, but she even went as far as to say this. Right? She's sitting there holding her head, and she goes, "I don't know how a person who knows you love them with all your heart can leave you in bed every night and go out cheating." And then she stopped, put her hand up, and said, I'm sorry, because that's exactly what she did to me with this guy and other dudes. And I was like, wow. You know, like I didn't say no. I said, it's okay. I didn't even let it affect me. Coil, you've been so proud of me. Like, no, it's okay. Go ahead. I understand you're venting. And I just let her do it. I got to call her evil to her face, Coil. I got to sit in the same car and be like, I know you're evil. What? And she was like, what? I said, I know you're evil. And she said, that's fucked up, huh? And I said, no, well, you know, I've always made the joke about wanting to be the henchman to the evil queen, the hot evil queen, you know? You know, so I started doing it back. The thing about mirroring narcissists that I've had to learn is that even though you're mirroring and you're double talking them, you're hitting them with truth and a little bit of lie. You're hitting them with a little bit of dishonesty, but the dishonesty is saying one thing and meaning another. You circumvent their fragile ego and you hit them, you kick them right in the inner child, which is what they're doing to you, you know. But theirs is broken, so every kick hurts, and so. You know, doing that, you still exchange energies. And so I was sitting out here one night because I hadn't told anybody about the mirroring I had done. And my sons are in the room. And I started reading this message that I'd sent to him because I play with his head all the time. Whenever this happens, because it hurts her. She ghosts. She becomes this. So what she does, the routine with these two freaking toxic people is they both cheat on each other, right? And then they get together and fight. And then they make up. And then they attack the person that the one cheated with. That's what they do. Right? And they have a good demon fuck afterward. And so like she'll come and provoke on her side, she'll come and provoke a man, triangulate, hurt them as hard as she can, ghost and ignore. And then he takes over. And he never approaches you directly. It's always indirectly. It's a game that these demons play. And so when I was fucking with him, which I'm never going to do again, honestly, Coil, because like he beats the shit out of her. They hurt each other as much as they can, but he beats the shit. He was shooting guns at her and shit. I saw her car and her windshield. I'm dead serious, dude. I'm sitting in her car. Her windshield is fucking broken, like all over the place with fucking holes and shit. I'm like, what the fuck happened? He's like, he was trying to stop me and he put a gun. He tried to break through the sunroof and he put a gun to the window and his friend blocked me in and another side bitch came over and was yelling. Like, that's how it is. And she loves that shit. She's a demon. She loves it. She loves that conflict. Like they get more people, anybody that wants to be involved. And I don't want to be involved in that.
No,
so,
thank you.
Right. So I'm reading this thing that I wrote to him. It's wonderful way of I've destroyed this dude. He's an illiterate moron. I have made this dude with my dark energy because I'm really good at it. I have manipulated his head. I can also dream walk. I can also attack somebody's mind while I'm up when they're dreaming or when they're awake. I can do it at any fucking time I wish. Trust and fucking believe, bro. And so when I'm doing that to this guy, I can make him text me back with like gibberish. He's so upset and his mind is so twisted and on fire and his fucking spirit is just like just dark and fucked up. Then he'll text back with like a bunch of like different like half words, ... a bunch of like Sanskrit. It's insane. And but I'm reading to my sons what I had written, like what I was very proud of at the time. And then my kids are looking at me. My son, I gave him some High John the other day because he was going through some negative stuff. So I give him some Hydron oil. I was like, here, use this to help protect yourself. He hands it back to me and he says, Dad, you need this. And I'm like, I swear to God. And both my kids are looking at me. And I'm like, are you? I said, I know you guys aren't used to seeing me this dark. Well, maybe Nathan is. But they were like, no, man, you're totally different. You're different right now. And they're right. Because when you involve yourself with a group, especially if they're toxic, if they're terrible, if they're awful people, you trade energy with them. You're trading energy. And so because I was mirroring, I was mimicking their energy in my own way, but I was being demonic. I was, being involved with this situation demonically. And so that's when I realized that I was like, I got to stop. Oh shit. Yeah. I'm actually proud of being evil and causing, him to kick her ass and her to fucking do whatever. And you know what I mean? Beat each other up and destroy shit. Like I got to get out of this. So I did.
That ain't cool.
Yeah, man.
Good call, man. Remove yourself.
I had to. Yeah, bro.
Such people from your fucking sphere. It's not worth it. And you're wasting your own fucking chi just even entertaining them in your own, I don't know what circumstance brought it around, but like, nah.
What circumstance? Well, what circumstance was the car thing that happened? He I guess they, she got tired of him leaving in the middle of the night to go have sex with trannies, and then held him accountable. Right. This dude goes out and comes home with a man shit covered stick and puts it in her. You're like, ew, like this is the life they live. Yeah. And so they got upset, had that fight because of that. And I guess he started, I don't know. They busted up her car. Friends got involved. She dissed. She couldn't hang. She was getting beat up. She's like literally like fuck that. And so she came to me, and the reason she came to me is she knows I care. She knows I love her. She knows like I always forgive her and all that stuff. But she also knows that that'd piss him off and give him the opportunity to be evil to me. So the night that she ghosted, literally, dude, I called it out like 3 days before. I literally said, well, this is going to happen. When you come over Friday, this is what's going to happen. No, it's not. Don't make that manifest. And she literally let it happen. So as she's ghosting, he texts me from another phone because I had a block. So he texts me from a new phone and he goes, did she ghost you yet? Ha, ha, ha. And I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. I'm watching this whole thing unfold, COIL. Like, I already knew this was going to happen. I know these moves. It was nuts, man. Yeah, but I shouldn't have mirrored. I should have waved goodbye as she was ghosting. I should have just completely, because, no negative fuel, no nothing. I should have just completely disappointed him. And instead, I went back to that, feeding their evil. This is what they look for. It doesn't matter. Like, even though I may have won insofar as the psychological battle, the spiritual battle that took place, I still exchanged energies and became that. To a degree.
That's a fucking lesson right there.
Right, bro.
Even just going back for a second. It's a waste of fucking energy. And honestly, I'm glad you removed yourself from it, but there's no fucking reason to ever do that again, dude.
Yeah, and I want to let anybody know listening later, because I know like every single one of my friends and family is going, what the fuck's wrong with you? I get it. I want you to know, COIL, when I finally opened up to him, he gave me a stern talking to.
I'm that kind of friend. But
he did.
Yeah, well, and it's just one of those things, if you really truly care about your brother, you will fucking tell it like you see it and leave it up to them. It's like, okay, I'm holding the mirror up, here's what it looks like, and you fucking do with that information that you will.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's because you gotta understand, like, I didn't see her before for what she was. I didn't. You guys did. All of you did. Whether you said something or not, dude. She says this. Cool. She said this to me, right? Because she's playing games all the time. That's what they do. She's like, I talked to so and so. I'm not going to say who he is. I'll tell you backstage. But she talked to another YouTuber that's been Fandom Menace for forever, and she was like, I talked to him, and he was like, I don't have any problem with you. Like he knew who I was, and he said, I don't have a problem with you. They've never done anything to me, and I'm dying inside. I just wanted to yell out, you stupid fucking bitch. Everybody sees you for who you are. Like, he knows who you are. He knows what you are. He's not going to say, I know you're a fucking narcopath. He's not going to do that. He's going to deflect you. He's going to be like, no, you're fine. No, because you don't want none of that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The game, the level of game playing, bro. It was. But I never saw it before. And I did not put my dick inside that. All right. Good. Now, normally, back in the day, whether I did or not, I definitely would have lied, because the dude she triangulated me with, he's disgusting and Hoovers and all that. But no, I didn't.
Well, and
Because
random tranny fucking energy all over
yes,
your fucking
yes,
antenna, dude. Is
dude,
that really
right.
what you want?
Exactly, exactly. But like, and that's what I was right, and that's exactly my thought. That was exactly my thought. She came in, and the first thing she started off with was, "Look, no relationship, no sex," because I've always wanted a relationship, and we've always banged. And I was just like, "Yeah, that's fine," because it really was like that. I wasn't lying at all. Like, that's fine. I
Right.
don't want to be in a relationship with you. I don't want to have sex with you. I
Right.
understand that you are a whore and that you have sex with other men in your cock carousel. And not only that, but you have sex with him who's running out and having sex with other nasty women and trannies and dudes. I was like, no, I'm good, man.
Yeah.
I don't
And
want-
then
I don't know.
everybody that they're having sex with.
Exactly. A
Yeah.
petri dish, guys. Narcissists are a petri dish of STDs. Trust and believe it. Get yourself checked if you've been abused by one or targeted by one or had sex with one. Just get checked. You need to. They don't care about themselves. So they're not going to care about their sexual health. They're not going to care about what they transmit. They don't give a shit. They care about their impulse and being in the moment. They have addictive personalities. They're selfish. They live in a cognitive distance. They create an entire world of lies around them, no matter what the factual reality is. I was saying earlier in the video, I was like, listen, a narcissist could be dead fucking wrong, and Jesus Christ could come down and hand you a document verified. You can see it. This is the truth. This is what happened in reality. And that narcissist will go, no, that's a forgery. That's a lie. Like that because they live in that. So if you've ever look, narcs are crazy bitches. Okay, they may have fun times in bed, but that fun time in bed is compounded times 1,000 around every fucking buddy they've ever known. They have definitely banged every dude they know. And those dudes are probably real nasty. Doesn't matter. So get yourself checked. Wear protection if you haven't.
Yeah.
Even if you did.
Well, every stone tossed creates a ripple, man. So
no shit, dude.
There's a consequence to every fucking thing that you do. I'm glad that you removed yourself from that situation, but I kind of need that shit to stay away from the channel at the moment. Let's move on to brighter topics.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're good, brother. You're good. I asked how the solstice was, and that's how it was. Because I was thinking
that's
you were
how
going to be
my
like,
solstice was.
I thought you were going to be like, yeah, I went out to the woods and it was midnight and there was the lake and like blah.
No, it should have been that. It should have been that. I should have said no when she contacted me from the women's abuse center that she had to run from. I should have been like, nah, nah.
Yeah.
I don't want to. But no, that's from that.
No, I get it. And it's just one of those things, man. Like, it's unhealthy. I know it's unhealthy. Everybody listening knows it's unhealthy. Let's not fucking feed it any more than it needs to be.
All right. Okay. Right. You're right. Negative fuel. Let's go forward.
The original line of thinking about the solstice, I wanted to introduce the idea of the analemma and the precession of the equinoxes.
Oh, let's do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking, who better to ask than the fucking nature spirit himself? This is one of those things. If you guys looked at the thumbnail, you can see that if you take a picture of the sun at the same time every day, it describes a figure 8 pattern. And this has been known since ancient times. The Greeks call it analemma. And what that is that's evidence of the earth spinning on its axis and wobbling as it spins. And then the precession of the equinox refers to the transitioning of the North Star between Vega and Polaris and what's the other one, Steven? There's one more.
Man, you talking about Orion's belt?
Well, it's leading that way. So anyway, the thing is that
astrology. Yeah, I'm sorry, astrology is not my strong suit, Cole.
It's all good. Every 72 years, the wobble of the Earth's axis moves the stellar North Pole by 1 degree. It shifts it backward through the houses, and then over time, over thousands of years, that's where we get the idea of the age of Pisces, or the age of Taurus, or the age of
the precession, right?
Aquarius. Yeah. And it's also one of those things that a lot of people don't actively know about and don't really care to research, but I do, because I'm very obsessed with ancient history and the history that's lost, the history that has been hidden or suppressed. you have monuments to such history. Like, okay, we've talked about this before, how the reason that Moses got so pissed off when he came down with the tablets that God written with his own finger, he came down and saw people worshiping a golden calf.
And the age of Taurus was awesome, by the way. The Tauruses, we're healthy Tauruses. We love sex, all right, and we love banging and love, and we just want to eat and party and have fun and fuck. That's all we want to do. So the age of Taurus was awesome, and this grumpy old man came down off the mountain. All right, this is because Jehovah's an angry God. All right, Jehovah's a real angry God. He doesn't want anybody to have sex or have fun. All right, and so he came down and he was upset that they were banging and having an orgy and smoking pot and having a great time. And I don't know where else to go with that, but that's how I look at that. The age of Taurus must have been awesome. The age of the Minotaur.
Well, and so you also noticed like there was a big thing in the Middle East and Mesopotamia, right?
Yeah.
Where there was a thing about lions, which is a vestige of the age of Leo. You see, like Gilgamesh, he conquered the lion, and he actually fought the bull of heaven, right?
Hail Enki.
Yeah, he slayed the bull of heaven, actually pissed off Inanna, all kinds of shit. You have the Sphinx, which is a monument to the age of Leo, but probably not the last one, but the one before that, because civilization is a lot older than people fucking realize.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's a shame that we don't get that information. The hubris of historians and archaeology is terrible, because it's evident. Listen, Machu Picchu was not built at the top of a fucking mountain. When that was built, that mountain was probably a lot lower, just to ocean level. You know what I mean? The Earth's crust changes; it rises and falls. It's probably one of the reasons for the great disasters that always happen.
Coming back saying Gilgamesh was a badass.
Gilgamesh was a badass. Hail Enki, hail Enlil.
Gilgamesh and Enkidu at Uruk.
Yeah. Look,
Had to do some T&G there.
That is a civilization that was one of the last of the greats that still had information from before the floods. Like that's where they were. They were spiritually enlightened. They understood our deep history, and they had a much deeper connection to the spiritual realm than we have had. Because
that's the thing. Gilgamesh asserted that he was 2/3 divine, and a lot of times people just thought it was myth. What the fuck does that mean? It took somebody like Sitchin to figure out that what he was saying was that his mother was a quote unquote goddess, right? A being not of this planet, not of this realm. His father was a human king. So what that means is that he inherited his X chromosome came from elsewhere, but not only that, his mitochondrial DNA came from elsewhere. So you take those two things, 2/3 divine.
And this is a story. Yeah, exactly, brother. And this is a story that is repeated all throughout history, whether modern religious scholars or believers want to recognize it or not. Because the Christ story, which isn't the last of that kind of story,
we're going to get into that too.
Yeah, it's just one of the most popular, or the most popular at the moment. But that is a rendition of a story that has been told for, as far as we can tell, written down to 6,000, 7,000 years.
Correct.
And there's a reason why. There's a reason why all these different civilizations have, demigods or solar deities. Like there's a reason why these half-god myths exist, because this shit was going on back in the day.
Yeah,
and might
read
still
the Book
be
of
to this
Enoch.
day. Yeah, read the Book of Enoch.
Of course it is, dude. I can attest to that personally.
You are a intergalactic pimp. I want to know where I can sign up to become an intergalactic pimp. Because the only vagina that's been getting thrown at me comes demonically. I need some. I literally need some pussy that is out of this world. All right, can you help me out?
Some fucking Captain Kirk shit.
Yes, yeah, I want to fuck some green bitches, yo.
That's funny. I have a segment planned out for this a little bit later, so let's
all right.
Let's keep the show rolling here. We got, let's see, 4 of you guys watching. Go ahead and smash the like button. Give us a share. Tell your mom, tell your dad. Hide your kids, hide your wife, because
Definitely hide your kids and hide your wife.
Walton and Coil are in the house tonight. So we were talking about the Christ myth, right, or the Christ story,
Mhm.
which we just said that there's many different iterations of. The Catholic Church itself has admitted that there are plagiarisms in the Bible, and specifically surrounding the character that we have come to know as Jesus Christ. Now,
Mm.
there are historical predecessors that describe a similar tale, like Mithras. Okay,
Yeah.
Mithras had 12 followers. You know, he died. He was born of a virgin. We talk about Isis and Horus. You know,
Right,
Horus.
right.
There
Phoebe.
you
There's a
go.
female version of that story. Sun goddess. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So basically, everywhere that the Romans went, they basically conquered people and told them that their gods are actually misinformed copy of the true gods, which belongs to them.
And then they
And
did
there's
it when they became Catholics.
exactly. So
Yeah.
when they transitioned into the Vatican, they kept the same strategy. They just dropped the Roman Empire thing and came up with the Catholic Empire, I guess,
I
headed by
mean, yeah.
Benedict Palpatine.
Right, exactly, exactly. It's a shame that it went that way. It's because so much history has been lost because not just because of them. Like any hyperbolic religious institution throughout history will do this. It's not just that, but it's a shame that, like, in our age, we've lost so much ancient knowledge because of the Abrahams. Abrahams are awful. The Abrahams are all awful. I don't give a shit.
Talk
Um,
about narcissism, man.
spiritual narcissism. I was talking about that earlier.
Oh,
Okay, listen, if you ever run into somebody that says, my God is the true God, and just claims that anybody else who doesn't think the way they do and pray the way they do is evil, that is a spiritual narcissist. That is spiritual narcissism. That is not a true connection to source. If you're truly connected to source, then you understand that all gods are one God and they're all faces of the one. They
there
all
you
have
go.
their own aspect of the understanding, and also understand that we're only one planet in an entire galaxy. So even if you understood all of the different disciplines, perspectives, and experiences on this one world, you still wouldn't have an understanding of what source is.
Totally. One galaxy amongst trillions, you
Trillions,
know?
right? Right.
Yeah. There's no end to the bigness and there's no end to the smallness. You know, we have galaxies inside our molecules, dude.
And there's no end to the averageness. Trust me, I'm trying to get laid. All right, go ahead.
So you can hit up author Stephen Walton on his X fucking
I am taking applications at this
slide into his
moment.
DMs. Yeah.
All right, and
He-
if I even smell a hint of toxicity, I'm gonna ask what type of
the,
toxicity, because I
the
actually
full
do like
staff.
toxic bitches. Oh yeah, right. I'm gonna get fully erect. You know, the more
Homo
demonic
erectus.
and evil, the more demonic and evil you are, the more I want to tap that ass.
There you go. There you go. So we were talking about monuments to the different ages, right? Um, none so none much more controversial than the Great Pyramids themselves, right? Now, if
Yeah,
you talk
the,
to
the power plants.
yeah, there you go. If you talk to
Mhm.
air quotes, the Egyptian authority, they'll tell you that they're only like 5,000 years old, and that Khufu Cheops built them for his, wife or
And
whatever.
again, that's Islam. That's Abraham bullshit. That's Islamic bullshit.
It
They
is.
don't want to admit. They do not want to admit. These are the same people that destroyed the Library of Alexandria. They do not want to admit that anything existed before their book. Like they don't. It's the cognitive
Well,
dissonance is horrible.
they're casting a web of deception in order to
Yes,
control the flow of information.
to create
In
a
order,
delusion.
there you go, and to keep humanity manageable. Because if what we're saying is true and the pyramids are evidence of a free energy device, then why the fuck don't we just build pyramids everywhere And
Why would all of a sudden why would all of Tesla's work be gone
disappear.
if it
Yeah.
just disappeared? Free energy, because they don't want you to
Yeah.
have free energy. That's why you won't. That's one of the reasons why you won't find out the pyramids are fucking power plants. Could you imagine, Coil, what would happen if our civilizations were allowed to experience the wisdom of the Emerald Tablets? Could you imagine?
Totally. We're at least 200 years behind where we should be because of
Yeah.
the fucking vice grip that the hand of the fucking beast has over everybody.
Yes.
You know, and the descendants of the, you know, we were talking about demigods. There's like a really toxic pool of them that just have control over fucking everything. It's
Yes.
disgusting. And
Yes. And
everybody's
they're
been
dark.
yeah, everybody's been forced to play by their rules. It seemed like in the 90s there was like a tiny little window, a little sliver where I thought we were all going to bust through that, but they just fucking doubled down, and now we have like parents
And
who
you,
are injecting their kids with hormones because,
but do you know where that came from, though? Do you know that resurgence of power came from the fact that they recognized the free flow of information, the unhindered flow of an exchange of information through the early internet
yeah,
was taking away from their ability to create that illusion. And maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic here, but like movements like Phantom Menace kind of helped to break through that, because we not only were we talking about our modern myths and that, but we're exposing the rings in Hollywood and Disney and all these different really Luciferian, for lack of a better term, Luciferian things that are happening in the world that are done by these demigods, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, that keep people tied to their lower, baser, darker selves, murderous, child rape, like that kind of stuff, because that ties you down to the lower frequencies and doesn't allow you to experience true enlightenment. You're not going to hit nirvana if you've got
and then
that.
They in turn use that vibe to sustain themselves.
Yes.
Energy vampires can't groove off of love or whatever, the sublime or the light. They need fear. They need toxicity. They need violence. They need murder. They need rape. They need
narcissists too, because like the narcissism itself, among other conditions. Sorry to go back to that, but one of the things I
taught it to us. You know,
well, it's all about creating an illusion, manipulating, abusing, projecting your evils onto others to cast them away from you, and denying it to sustain a delusional state. And that's what they do. It's a negative thing, and that's what they do with these negative energies, is to create that illusion. All right, guys, being a good person, literally, all right, whatever your definition of that is, as you know, it is willpower. It's not dispersion of information. It's not control over others. It's control over yourself. It's not, hurting other people to satisfy your base desires. It's actually walking away, turning the other cheek. As much as I even hate to admit this, but turning the other cheek is a higher frequency thought. It is removing yourself. It is just taking the hit and then going in another direction and getting away from that negativity. Sorry.
Absolutely. No, it's cool, man. I really dig that. What I was going to say is we're talking about the pyramids being power plants, being the source of free energy for ancient civilization. Not built by the hands of man. The three pyramids in Giza that we're talking about, too perfect of an alignment. The Great Pyramid is in the exact center of a landmass of the fucking planet. Primitive people enslaving Hebrews, rolling logs, and
bullshit.
They're not going to be able to calculate the center of landmass. You can only do that from above by observation.
And it's right across one of the dragon lines, the magnetic lines of the Earth.
There you go. The fucking 33rd parallel.
Again, guys, Abrahams. All right, we're victims. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good, man. You're good. It's all kind of gonna cycle into itself once you see what I'm talking about. But the other thing that's important to note is that the setup of the three pyramids in Egypt directly correspond with Orion's belt. and there are other temples that approximate the constellation of Orion and Sirius. One of the quote vent shafts that modern
The vent
Egyptologists
shafts.
will tell you. Yeah, they'll tell you like, oh, that's where your soul is shooting off after you get and you die. And
Right.
nah,
Right.
man, that's purposefully designed. One of them points at Sirius, one of them points at Orion, because those are ancient. Uh, a treaty was brokered, and beings from both of those planets came down here and fucked around with the genetics with the sentient species. Okay, we have not only Egypt, but so many cultures revere Sirius. So many cultures
Yep.
revere Orion in whatever name you want to call it.
Sirius is
Right?
also a part of the Christ legend.
Yeah, absolutely. The three kings, which is the stars of Orion's belt, which is mirrored by the fucking pyramids, which the Hebrews had to leave, and Joseph and Mary are riding around on an ass.
Oh my God, I know, right? Oh my God.
Ride that ass, Mary.
Ride that ass. Got that spiritual dick.
That's right.
Ugh.
Joseph's out fucking going to the store buying some cigarettes, and God himself comes in. And he's
Joseph,
like, hey, Mary.
Joseph is one of the most dedicated cucks in all of history. Don't
The
diss him,
first
all right?
cuck was Hey Joe, here's $5. Why don't you go buy me a smoke?
Right.
I'll be right here when you get back.
Yeah.
God's
Mary's
all like,
got
hey
it.
Mary. Hey Mary. You're looking pretty good in that fucking blue thing you're wearing. Why don't you unwrap that real fast?
Right.
She goes, oh my God.
She had never had a dick like that in her life.
Oh
my God.
Never would again.
No, she was a virgin. She was the first. And once you, when you're a virgin and you get tapped, your ass gets tapped by something fucking divine. Everything after is going to suck.
Over.
It's awful. It's terrible. Joseph never had a chance. He never had a chance, the poor guy.
And like Jesus came out and he's this golden child, and like all his brothers and sisters are fucking dorks.
And Joseph can't even hate the kid, right? Because like a cuck, you figure he'd hate the kid, but he can't because Jesus will fuck him up. He's gonna fuck him up. And he's
gonna do some like chosen one shit and like turn your blood into wine, and
right.
You're done.
Give me that baba, bitch. I'm gonna change your diaper.
Yeah, but then we see even that like the birth story, the virgin birth story, is an allegory for the Son of God is actually the sun, the sun in the sky, right? You got the three stars pointing to Sirius, which is where the sun will stall on solstice for 3 days, where it says it's dead, and then on the third day after the solstice, it begins to rise. And so it says the sun is risen.
I got one deeper for you. Do you know what Bethlehem translates into?
Gateway of the gods, right? No, that's
No.
No, go ahead.
House of bread. You know why it translates into house of bread?
Why is that, buddy?
Because Virgo the Virgin carries shafts of wheat.
Ooh, I like that. I really like that.
I mean, that whole story is ancient. It's been told over and over and over and over again. Look at the 111th or 113th spell in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It is the entire freaking Immaculate Conception story. The entire thing, right there, all of it. It's even got the 10 Commandments in it. It's got and other stuff. Yeah.
Except it's like worded a little bit differently. Instead of like thou shalt not, it would say like you
will not.
Some
shit.
One who is of the way would not, and that actually happens when you're dead and your fucking heart's being weighed against a feather, and there's a crocodile
by Anubis.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, basically, we were talking about how Catholicism has a lot of plagiarisms, and the fact that there's a lot of Egyptian mystic arts wrapped into it. There's a lot of like Babylonian and Hittite.
Babylonian. Yep.
Yeah, you gotta realize like the Hebrews as a tribe were enslaved several times and forced to adopt the state religion for the time, and they just kind of carried on with their tradition.
Well, let's not take it away from the ancient Hebrews, all right? They weren't just always slaves. They were out there murdering motherfuckers.
They were.
They were a warrior nomad tribe who would fuck around and find out. And if they found out that they were better, then they won. And if they found out that they were worse, then they became slaves. That's the history of the Abrahams.
Well, and especially like in the period prior to that, the Earth was a gigantic chessboard, and we were talking about demigods. There were the sons of the gods who came into the fucking daughters of man and blah blah blah. A lot of times they were set up to be kings because the full bloods, like the true bloods or whatever, and we're not talking about vampires, but the full bloods were like, we're pulling off this fucking planet. Look, you guys do whatever the fuck you want. We're getting the fuck out. And they basically carved up the planet and was like, okay, since you guys can't get along, you go over here and you take care of China and you take care of India and you take care of South America and you take care of the Middle East and you take care of, but they all wanted to fight over a specific piece of real estate,
And poor Ireland. That's where all the redheads finally settled.
Yeah,
because
there you go.
You look at ancient
redheaded
history,
giants with like
the
six
redhead. The red-headed giants, yes,
Yeah.
because they were everywhere. All right, look, people with red hair are a part of that mythos. They're a part of they're the children of demigods, because you can find, they've said like, oh well, these people from Ireland must have traveled all the way across to North Asia at some point because there is a whole clan of them. Or you look at the red-haired mummies in the mountains of Peru. Like, well, how'd they get there? Because they were
Native
everywhere
Americans
at one
have
point.
stories of killing red-headed giants too.
Red-headed giants, because they were all they actually were everywhere at one point. They're a part of this mythos.
Yep. I got red whiskers in my beard. I don't know about you.
I have I don't know. No, I don't. I don't know. I have gray hairs on my balls now.
There you go. That's how you know that you're actually getting old. You can get gray hairs, you can get gray beard hair, but when you get gray ball hair,
that's it. When you begin to get the white gray, you can fool yourself that they're white blonde. They're not. All right. I'm sorry, sir. They're not what. That is a gray hair coming out of your sack. All right.
That's right.
It's what it is.
Your sack has seen its former glory.
It has. It's gone. It's fallen. It's starting to get wrinkled a lot, isn't it? It's starting to collapse. One day it's going to look like a sack. One day it's going to look like a net sack with one onion in it. Just accept it. And one old, angry, hairy onion.
Well, so it's funny though. So Earth's a chessboard. It's been carved up into territories, and each territory has its own national god, which more often than not consisted of a demigod who possessed advanced technology, who commanded their tribe or their peoples, usually in warfare against competing demigods. And that's what I believe that burning bush and fucking cigar smoking thing in the sky, they're basically following around it. They're following around advanced craft, who is
the burning bush is not gonorrhea.
Nah. Not
okay, thank you. All right.
There's pills for that.
You gotta stick a metal rod up your pee-pee hole no more. Thank God.
No more uncomfortable cotton swabs.
I'm sorry. I'll keep bringing it down. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Savage Spirituality, like, share, subscribe. We got 559 subs on this channel.
Yes.
Which, it's been steadily growing. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm going to say hail to the original 500, hail to the original 300. I remember when we did that stream. But the only way that we grow is through continued support. So go ahead and thumbs up, get this fucking algorithm shifting. And then let's do this on the road to monetization. We need to get the watch hours up. If you guys are just having especially if you work from home, open up a tab and mute it and just let the fucking playlist play.
You don't even listen to them.
You don't even got to listen to me, because we're going to be talking about shit like this. This is best left to the realms of
do not listen to this show around kids.
No, put your kids to bed unless you want them to ask some funny questions. So
some serious questions.
That's right. So this next segment is brought to you by Respect Walk. You better walk on home, boy.
Nice, dude. Nice.
That's right. So all of these things are going to be circular. We're going to kind of depart from that topic for a second, but we'll revisit it a little bit later. Right now, I want to talk about this phenomenon. Stephen, you might be familiar with it, called a MGTOW, men going
Yeah.
their own way.
Yes, I've heard of Big Tao, and
Yeah.
it makes some men very angry. I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you. Like, but I understand it. I understand why, especially if you are dealing with modern feminist culture or succubus narcissist demons. But
There you
you
go.
just you don't. There is men and women have a place. We both do. Okay. The genders, we have two genders for a reason, and we each have our own strengths and weaknesses. There are times when the woman leads. There are times when the man leads, and you have to understand, respect that balance. If you truly love someone and you truly want to exchange that sacred power with one another, as a unit, you can get anything accomplished. Um, but we have a problem right now because the powers that be, those evil demigods that we were talking about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
they want to keep us from achieving that unity, that understanding. And one of the ways of doing that is informing women who are emotional creatures, who sometimes are delusional anyway, that they are just as powerful as men. They have masculine energy. They can be men if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
They're better off alone. And,
Mhm.
things that just aren't true. And that they are always a victim, that they can blame men for anything. So a lot of men, myself included, if I hope I find love one day, but myself included, have decided that this fourth wave feminist bullshit, these women are not worth my time. I'm not taking you seriously. I'm just not doing it because you don't take me seriously. But yeah, I understand what MGTOW is. Go ahead, sir. Continue with you. Continue with.
Yeah. No, it's cool. And this is why I value you as a co-host, because I can flow out on an idea and then you can kind of break it down for, because I walk around with this knowledge in my head all fucking day, and I don't really talk to many people because I don't find many people. I mean, that's going to sound fucked up. I don't find many people worth talking to, and I believe that
Brother, I'm the same way.
word creates just as
Yeah.
thought and just as deed creates. So if you involve yourself with subpar characters, then what the fuck are you co-creating?
Exactly.
And
And I am so tired of illusionists and bullshitters and people who don't say what they mean, or people who like get off on deception and illusion. I've just gotten tired of talking to people.
yeah,
I only want to talk to real motherfuckers. Coil's a
yeah.
real motherfucker. I
Thank
mean,
you.
you're welcome.
Well, I believe in elevated conversation, and I believe that every interaction should spurn you to the grandest version of yourself that you can be. And if you're not dealing with people who do that for you, then what the fuck
And
are
I
you
am
doing?
and I am a psychic with sometimes muffled vision, which means
Yeah.
sometimes I can see things clearly. Sometimes I can hear and feel your vibrations clearly, and sometimes I don't. I just don't. And I'm tired of having to guess because, like, if somebody's bullshitting me and comes to me, I know they are. I know you're
Mhm.
bullshitting. You're hiding something, but my clarity isn't as what it could be. I'm striving to be better. That deception could be something like trying to spare feelings. That deception could be something like I'm not trying to be sad because of something else going on in my life right now, but because I'm interacting with them and they're talking with me, I sometimes pick up that as at me or aimed at me, and so I
Sure.
won't trust somebody. So it is a lot easier to isolate because
Yeah.
when I'm talking to somebody like Wes Moody, Mortal Coil, Spork News podcast, when I'm talking to somebody like that, among others, what they're saying to me is what they're saying to me. I know what they're saying to me. I understand what they're communicating to me. There's no bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like if they're upset, I know they're upset, and they'll give me like a short answer as to why, even if they don't want to talk about it. And
Mm.
so I trust that interaction. But most people out there, man, are hiding stuff all the time. Like whether it's and I've done it too, like to myself. I get it. I know I turned a lot of people off, and when I was going through what I was going through a couple of years ago. I understand because of all the turmoil, toxicity, exchange of toxic energy and behaviors I was picking up from awful people. I wasn't trying to be a bad person. I wasn't trying to be like that, but I can understand why people backed off because I was putting that off. And everybody does it. And Sometimes it's easier people who have clarity or people who have pure hearts to just separate themselves and take the route of the hermit. Yeah, and
That's what I tend to do.
yeah.
That's probably why I don't have a regular schedule for the show. Now, if I know if I'm not at my best or if I don't really have anything positive to contribute, I don't want to just flap my jaw because again, word creates. And if you
Yeah.
sit there spinning a yarn, you know, you're gonna make a fucked up sweater, basically. And
Yeah.
you guys don't deserve that. And it's
the
also
power
a
of the word.
truism. Yeah, it's also a truism that as a psychic, it's easier to read other people versus when you're trying to be honest with yourself because you can come up with like a reason for everything. It's like, oh, this thing happened because you know, I wasn't paying enough attention to this. So yeah, I'm aware of that. So I'll just kind of like deal with that a little bit later. You know, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
self-deception is
Yeah.
the greatest deceiver in your life.
Yeah,
It is.
definitely.
Because you can
Definitely.
cloud your vision, you can cloud your perspective. If you are manifesting, you can be the greatest manifester in the world. And if you haven't dealt with whatever issue or whatever something that is deep rooted in you, you haven't dealt with that, then you're manifesting everything with the potential to be a disaster.
When you're just asking for more of it, you're like, oh yeah, I got a handle on this. I can dabble in it a little bit because I've already figured this shit out. And then like before you know it, you're knee deep in it again. It's like,
Right,
when the fuck? How the fuck? Why the fuck?
Right. And then that trauma will come back in another form or in the same form until you've like 100% dealt with
Absolutely.
it and resolved it in you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now it's interesting because the whole like social engineering aspect, just to get back to the MGTOW thing, and masculinizing women and feminizing men, it's also a population control tactic. So if nobody's breeding, or if we're breeding like sissy men, or we're convincing children to mutilate their genitals, then there's not going to be any strength to stand up to the fucking evil that's presenting itself.
Yeah.
Which is intentional. By all reports, the powers that be want the population of the world to be something like 300 million people versus the like 8-9 billion people we have now.
And they're trying to do it without nuclear weapons because that'll just screw everything up.
Well, because they don't want to destroy their own habitat. You know, that's what happened to the Greys, man. They blew up their fucking planet and they had to go live underground. They turned into big bug people who cloned themselves.
Yeah, and don't have sex because they have little genitals. I mean, don't do that.
Nah.
You don't want to do that. Look, I'm not saying you have to abandon all your lower energies. Some of them are really fun. I'm just saying you do them in a healthy way. You know, play with them in a healthy way. And try not to play with them yourself.
Here's what's funny. There was an old TNG episode, and I forget the name of it, but it was the one where this is before Riker grew a beard. It was like season 2. Pulaski was there. They went to this planet that was inhabited by clones, and there was only like 5 distinct individuals, but there was like a whole population. It's up the long ladder. That's what it was called. Because there was that hot Irish girl that, oh man. The foot-washing girl, you remember her?
Yeah, but I haven't watched the Pulaski season in forever.
She's, you know, the actress that played Pulaski in the 60s, she was smoking hot. She was in an episode of the original series. And goddamn, dude. But she just, I forget the name of the episode, but it was one where she was walking around with this box and there was an entity inside known as a Medusan. And you had to wear these goggles to look at it because if you looked at it, it would drive you insane. There's something about the energy pattern that scrambled up organic.
I think I dated her. You know, I got to check that out. No, I didn't know. It wasn't Pulaski that I had an issue with. It's just like the first few seasons are hard to watch. That's all.
The first 2 seasons, I mean, Farpoint was a good episode. The Elementary Dear Data was pretty good.
I'm sorry, but the episode where like they bring back the disease, the blood disease that makes everybody go crazy or go into their inhibitions or whatnot. Like makes them all drunk.
Oh, Yeah, that's
Well, the one where
that's where
Tasha
Tasha
Yar
Yar
gets
being
banged by
Data.
Data.
Yeah,
And that actress.
the Naked
Denise,
Now.
Denise is freaking hot. All right, I don't care. I don't like
Yeah,
short-haired chicks, but I think she's hot.
I'd give her
I
a
got a thing
chance.
for blondes. I have a thing for blondes. Have you not figured it out?
Sure.
I think that um like that episode was off. I'm sorry, that wouldn't have affected Data. It wouldn't have affected Data. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Well,
and
Measure of a
honestly,
Man, that was another good early episode too.
yeah, it was a good episode. I'm not saying they didn't have good episodes. They did. The first season and the second season a little bit tried to recreate or give respect, which with all good continuations of sci-fi do, to the original. They tried to give
Yes.
respect to the original, and I think that's
Yes.
what's wonderful. But season 4, that is 4, 5, 6, and 7 are just fucking
Mhm.
incredible. You know what I mean? Especially when you get to
Right.
like seasons 5, 6, 7. So
Right.
good.
Absolutely.
They're gonna do a TNG movie, bro. Another one.
I hope whoever did Picard is in charge of that.
I think it's the same team.
Good.
It's the same
It's the
team, I
third
think.
season.
Yeah.
The first 2 seasons of Picard is shit. I
I'm not-
disavow that show.
I
But
do.
season
I'm not-
3 was good.
Season 3 was great, and oh god, it was Season 3 is like what we wanted to see. That is the undiscovered country of the original Star Trek films. And I'm not saying all those films weren't bad. I like them all for what they are. I even like 5. I like them all for what they are. But the undiscovered country was kind of like what is the best, because it's like
That was the pinnacle. Yeah.
It's the pinnacle. That is definitely the best Star Trek film. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, like Shakespeare attained its full flower when it was translated to Klingonese.
In Klingon, talk back.
Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. But the point was that the planet full of clones, the idea of physical reproduction got to be so repugnant that they relied on cloning technology. But as you know, if you've ever made a copy of a copy of a copy, eventually it begins to degrade.
And if your civilization has gotten to the point where you're not fucking, just end it. All right, done. Yeah. Orgasms are life, literally. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, and it has certain ramifications for the aura. Like as you orgasm, you're actually cleansing out your aura, and all kinds of shit's going on with your chakras. It is a holy sacred act if you think about it, and people just throw it away like it's they get the hit of dopamine and they're just like, okay, that's what it's about.
It is an exchange of sacred energy. It really is. And not everyone, all right, is built the same. There are some, like, the idea of the sacred whore is fucking legit. That's legit.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. So there are some vessels or some incarnations where women or men, but let's look at women, are just built to exchange, cleanse, invigor, empower men through sex. And it is what it is.
Well, it's on behalf of the goddess too. I mean, it's not fucking for the sake of fucking. It's fucking to channel divine feminine energy.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is the good. Honestly, and it's a shame that women are vilified, because that is there is absolutely a good aspect. That is what we're talking about, is the good aspect, and the equal and opposite of a succubus. A succubus is the whore that is destructive, that uses sex to manipulate and destroy men. I know, I've had a couple, and I can tell you it's not a good experience.
When you contrasted it with these days, the MGTOW days, if you will, where women are encouraged to use their sexuality in order to financially exploit men.
Which is an illusion. You can do that in a positive way, I think, if you're just empowered and you're using will. But when you are using your vag to manipulate other energy in a negative way for selfish gain or destructive,
And let me further clarify by offering the image of the common cam whore, this chick who basically lives in a golden palace because she shows her butthole and fucking bangs herself with a dildo all day while guys pay her way through life, Yeah,
and, for a number. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, and that's the thing, though. She might have 100 orgasms a day. and then she might go to a party and pick up somebody and fuck them that night that she just met, but she's not
Healthy.
she's not she's not healthy.
not healthy.
That's a misuse of sexuality.
Yeah.
Combined or as contrasted to the divine prostitute, the Kadishtu, as they were called in the times of Anana.
The priestesses of Ishtar.
Yeah. So this is just a big way of saying that managing your sexual health is a big fucking deal, and especially if you're a guy. And I'm gonna have to, take a seat, Walton. But everybody that you stick your dick into, you absorb a portion of their essence, and that essence will stay with you. And not only that, but everybody that they have been with in the past like 6 weeks will be a part of your essence. So that's kind of why I allowed that yarn to go on earlier, because say Walton was weak and he dipped his wick in the fucking Sarlacc pit. Everybody that she had been with and everybody who had been with the people that she had been with would have visited themselves upon Stephen, and he might have manifested personality quirks that don't even belong to him because they came from elsewhere.
Exactly. And that's what happened to me back in the day, because I was exchanging energies with con artists, drug addicts, low lives, liars, manipulators, trannies, all because it's crazy. Yeah, that's why I was fucked up.
So when I was a teenager, I was dating this woman who, I guess she was kind of Wiccan, like borderline Wiccan, but she was also spiritual. Kind of Taoist. Yeah, she was spiritual. She was interested in a lot of that shit, and she explained it to me like this. She goes, like, imagine the male pelvis is like a satellite dish, right? So you got your hips, that's like the bowl, and then you got your wang, which is like the transmitter, versus the female pelvis, which is the receiver, right? So the Taoist aspect of that is and it's funny because you see some of this stuff kind of come up in like manga and anime and all that kind of stuff, the sex magic aspect, where the male orgasm has a particular energetic potential, and the Taoists believe that because they had their own like sex magic, if you will. The Taoists believe that if a man and a woman are having sex, it's more powerful if the man does not climax. However, the woman, if she climaxes 100 times, the guy through his antenna is going to absorb her pre-birth chi, is what the Chinese call it, right? But if he busts, then he loses his, and she gains it. And then furthermore, like as a guy busts, and I'm not saying like don't have orgasms, I'm just telling you what the Chinese believe. Physiologically, when a guy busts, he is physically weakened for a moment. A lot of guys, like I do this too, like if I can't sleep, I'll whip one out and then I'll get tired and I'll pass out, but there's an energy potential there that can be harvested, is basically what I'm saying. So
no, and you're absolutely right. Yeah, I believe that as well.
So as we devalue sex and orgasms, we're losing connection with that divine part of ourselves, because people don't even think energetically anyway. And we were talking about how you turn into a boob, dude. What's going on?
What?
Oh, your avatar dropped out. You look like a Death Star.
I mean, it looks fine to me. Should I drop? I'm gonna drop out and come back in then. Hold on. Hold on.
Right. Stephen looks like a boob. There we go. RR says, you have not heard Shakespeare until you've heard it in the original Klingon. Fuck yeah. I dig it. R, you're a loyal soldier, man. You're here every fucking week. So until Steven gets back, basically what I was saying was that we have a responsibility to our sexual energy. and how we use it and how we express it. And especially in this modern MGTOW fucking thing going on, women are hypersexualized and they're placed on pedestals, and average guys can't even get a glance because they're even structuring law now that if you are basically not the man that the woman desires to have hit on her, she can persecute you legally or prosecute you. I guess persecute's the fucking same thing. But even if you do get a turn, there are those predatory mindsets that will seek to exploit a man's resources. So the doctrine goes, instead of dealing with the potential for any of that shit, it's better to just walk away, you know? And maybe it's me getting older. I'm in my early 40s right now, but I don't really see that many women that even impress me beyond um, their physiology.
How's my
Um,
audio?
Audio's great. Your avatar's
Okay.
back.
Okay. Sorry.
I don't know if you caught any of what I just said,
Nope, I
but
didn't catch anything.
well, what I was saying is that in this modern MGTOW phase, I'm not even really meeting many women that impress me beyond just the eye candy. You know,
Mhm.
there's a lot of people walking around without a thought in their head, without two brain cells to rub together. They're just kind of rattling around, disassociated inside their skull. Um, I take public transit quite a bit, so I encounter a lot of misfits and mentally mixed up people. Um, and then the girls that I find physically attractive, a lot of them don't have their shit together. And I was
Ah, yeah,
kind
you
of,
like basket cases too, huh?
well, so I'll tell you a story. I almost had something going on for a minute, but then it kind of crumbled because of communication styles. Now you know who this is, Steven, but I'm not gonna say who it is on air just out of respect for privacy. But this is a person who I was talking to that English was not the native language, and I didn't speak her language either. We were speaking through a translator app. We got pretty
You were talking
close.
to your wang.
Ah, that's at night, buddy. No, we were talking through X, formerly known as Twitter, and I fucking hate calling it X. There's something about that that just bothers me so much. Um, but this was a person who I was like able to be completely spiritually honest with, and somebody who was asking insightful questions, and we were having like real back and forth dialogue and real genuine interaction, right? Um, this person was very curious about like dream walking and astral projection and especially past lives because she was so attached to her past life persona that she was barely engaging with reality as her current enfleshed incarnation. And I was always kind of like uh telling her to experience life as this person, because the person that you were, cool, that was great, but you're not that person. There's a part of that person with you, but that's not what you're here to do. You're here to be you and carve out your own thing. Now, if a portion of that wants to channel itself out and that's how you want to help the planet, cool. But be who the fuck you are in the moment that you are now. And I'd get the, yeah, you're right, you're cool. But we're talking through Google Translate, so like I would type something and then like check it in Google Translate to make sure that
Right.
what I said was actually what she's going to read. And it was like this back and forth thing, because we also had this dynamic where she would talk to me in English and I would talk to her in her language, and I just thought that was cool because that's naturally how we went. It's naturally where the fucking thing went to. We didn't like decide, hey, it would be cute one day. It's just like it fell into that rhythm, you know. And one day the fucking big L word happened. And it's weird, like when people say that to me, especially when women say that to me, because of my previous experience, there's a part of me that like gets like real like defensive, and and I'm always like, don't you fucking say that to me unless you fucking mean it, you know? Um, I didn't say that to her, but that's kind of the feeling that I got once that word was brought up, right? Um, Now it didn't really last too much longer past that point because what I was saying to her, like I had this idea one day, and she's completely on the opposite side of the planet. I was just like, if I ever got enough money together and was able to go and like present myself to her, I'm pretty sure I know how it would go down. And if it did, I was trying to think about like how many women on planet Earth deserve um, to procreate, especially with somebody like me. And I was sitting there thinking about the type of conversations we had. She's of breeding age, all this kind of shit. So I just floated this idea out there. I was like, hey, if you ever decide that you wanted to have kids, I hope you would consider, you know, the type of offspring that we could bring, you know. And then
Uh-huh.
she got really weird and she's like, look, I like you and I love you and all this kind of stuff. I'm not so sure I want to like talk about sex and things like that. And I was like, you completely missed the point. And it was at that point where I realized I had like hung my neck out a little bit too far. So you know what I
You
did, Steven?
yeah. You put your
I
neck out with your head in front of it. Go ahead.
I did. And you know what I did? I
Huh.
walked away. I
Oh.
and that's the lesson. If you tolerate any sort of disrespect or, you know, pushback after you've put yourself out there like that, then that should tell you something. And I'm not going to sit there and argue with a woman who is sexually
No.
offended by the idea. And I wasn't even dirty about it. I wasn't like, oh, I want to lay you down and like lick out your sugar
No, no.
hole
Well, you
and
don't want to
like,
argue with a woman anyway. There's no point.
pound your cervix. Yeah, I was like, realize if you ever wanted to have children, the type of being that we could breed, the spirits that we are, that kind of
Right.
shit.
Coil,
And
Coil was like, listen, I am an intergalactic pimp. You don't understand how strong my seed is. All right. I will turn your womb into something immaculate. She didn't respect that. I understand.
no, and honestly, that was a point that I wrote down that I was just about to make, Steven. So talk about being a fucking psychic, right? So
Yeah, bro.
here I am, like I told her about that part of myself too. I was like, look, I've walked with them, I've bred with them, I've been, tapped as, genetic material. And
Excuse me.
like I didn't, so she knows about that, and I didn't go into frustration with her. I just basically said like, listen, a man can't hang that out there and then not get the kind of response that you're giving. So I'm gonna say goodbye. And then
That is such an alpha move, bitch. You don't want to talk about, you want to
fuck
show me
yeah.
your tits? I'm done. No, I get it. I understand what you're saying.
Well, and again, like it's not solely about fucking. It's about like the idea of creating like imagine if you and your partner were fully awake and you decided to breed for the purposes of bettering humanity. It's like
Uh-huh.
that you can make Anakin Skywalker. All you guys got to do is fuck and get pregnant, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. And to have it come back as a denial when yeah, dude, I've been with extraterrestrials specifically for that fact. We recognize your spiritual essence. We recognize the viability of your genome. We want to incorporate that into our distinctiveness.
Mhm.
So, I think about it. I lost my virginity to a human when I was 15, but I lost my virginity to an extraterrestrial when I was 13. So who popped my
God damn.
cherry? Who popped my cherry, Steven?
Who copped an intergalactic broad?
There you go.
Yeah,
And I
I mean,
remember it. I remember it because she was like older than me, and it's like one of those babysitter fantasy kind of things. I was looking
damn.
into her eyes and I told her how pretty she was, and one thing led to another, and blah blah blah. It
Yeah,
just
she took you out of the sandbox.
she did. She did, and I'll tell you this, man. ET pussy feels just like human pussy, and a lot of
Does it?
times a lot of times they'll go out of their way to design the females that interact with the males to be a little bit more appealing to the male gaze. I had this one experience where I was with a female that they purposefully gave like perfect breasts to and hair, and then I turned and I looked at the male of the species, and he looked not like the female at all. And he actually noticed me looking at him, and he caused me to pass out. It's trippy. It's like they wanted me to be focused on the act and not on the
Right.
scientific observation.
Yeah.
You
Don't
know?
look around. I want you to put your dick in this and bang
Yeah,
it. That's it.
your purpose here is to deposit seed.
Right.
Is
Right. This
is,
the
is
purpose.
essentially the idea that I got from the guy, because there were three of them talking to each other, and I looked over at them, and then they noticed I was looking, and one of them turned their head and looked at me.
You're
And
not allowed to
then
be a voyeur, right? You can't get off.
no,
So
yeah,
do you think that?
you're gonna affect the experiment if you add your fucking vibe to
Right.
it. But go ahead.
Right, because you're the observer.
Yep.
Does it have to do? Is it just genetics, or do you think it has to do with energy exchange? You're talking about like an evolved species,
It's
out
both.
in space.
It's
Okay.
both. So they understand who you are. Okay, who you are when you present yourself to them is a vibe. It's your energy signature, because they don't deal with verbal language. They deal with telepathy,
Right.
right? So, and it's when we're watching TV and we hear telepathy, we hear like a speech. It's like, I want you to go downstairs and twist open the door and get me a beer. It's not like that. You get pictures. It's more like an intuitive hit where you understand a complete fucking concept in one go.
Mhm.
And if you're a psychic or you've dealt with intuition things, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If you don't, then it's kind of like receiving the entire encyclopedia in your head in one instant. And
Mhm.
you can take time and unravel that, but it's basically communication is happening in real time. You get concepts and ideas and feelings, and it's all rolled into one. And it's interesting because humans from this planet have a tendency to structure our thoughts verbally in the language that we were raised in. So
Mhm.
when we're sitting there thinking at them in terms of sentences, it's extremely slow to them, and they have to sit there and wait and be patient. But then when they talk back at you, it's like boom, and you fucking get it.
Mhm.
It's a trip. So you announce yourself as your spiritual signature. I have a hard time fucking pronouncing shit right now. So that's your vibe. That's your fucking being. You have your physical body animal that sends off a certain vibe. You have your thoughts that send off a certain vibe. But especially the most evolved of the races can see your spirit. And if your spirit is highly evolved or has been close to God or has gone through a cycle and come back to do it again, or is on the way or is whatever, they can sense that. And especially once I started hitting puberty and I started awakening spiritually and I guess like embracing my potential and as this incarnate being, whoever the fuck this is, they became interested, and they were like, okay, this is a person that we could deal with. We were talking a couple weeks ago about how when you start to see auras, you can start to see and perceive beings who live on finer densities. And then they're used to people just like completely ignoring them. But when you focus on one of them, they go like, oh, you can see me, you can perceive me. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Mhm.
And it's the same thing with the ETs. So
Mhm.
so yeah, that's a long-winded answer to the same
No,
fucking
that's
question.
incredible. I'm actually dealing with off topic just a tiny bit.
Eh.
A house that has a lot of entities in it. I told you about that one story about me seeing the angel on the stairs, right? Remember I told you about that?
Oh yeah.
Seeing
Yeah.
the ghost on the stairs. Yeah. So like, yeah, I'm mid stroke and there's an angel up on the stairs. Great. I'm glad that somebody's looking at me while I'm doing this. But so the other day, one of my roommates comes in and he says, because everybody that lives here has known each other. I'm in a house that I used to come to when I was like 13 years old to sleep over, and my best friend at the time has died since then. And I thought that was him up on the stairs. So yeah, one of the people comes in, the roommate comes in, and he says, I've seen so and so here. So and so is around this place. I see him. He turns the plays on my Xbox, turns it on and off. And one of the nieces has seen him out back. And as soon as he said that, I knew. I was like, oh my God. I was like, yeah, that's what I saw on the stairs. There's also black spots. I've seen black spots in my periphery, like shadow orbs.
Right.
All over the place, on the floor, all over everywhere. There's something that hangs out back on the deck. There's a light in the dining room that will literally dim and brighten, dim, brighten. You know what I mean? And it's a spirit thing. There's an entity there.
We got Tina Bojan in the house.
Yeah, what's up, Tina? Hey, sorry. But the thing is that last night, so it happens all the time. So last night, one of them came through. And it was in the dining room where I could see them and just made a noise, bang. You know what I mean? Just something, just played with something. And I looked over and I was like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. I couldn't see them, but I could sense them. I knew they were there. And I was like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. And as soon as you do that, when you do that with a spirit or a ghost, angel, whatever it is, when they know you can see them, that's when the real fun starts. Because they're going to keep playing with you. And so all around me for like 20 minutes until I just ignored it. You had to get to the point where I ignored it because I knew it wouldn't stop. There was orbs, shit moving, sounds, creaks, somebody going up the stairs, coming down the stairs. Like, bop, 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 bop. Like, I was just like, I had to ignore it. So I was to the point where I was like, all right, this is not going to stop. And I'm not going to sit here with this ghost or whatever it is, Yeah, but that's how it is. And I didn't realize it was like that with ETs. So I've never, as far as I know, I've never seen or interacted with one, but it was something that I've always been interested in doing. It's more spirit realm for me.
Well, there's a UFO ET researcher named Dr. Stephen Greer who, I would say he's probably like 70% credible, but he talks about, using elevated consciousness in order to contact evolved ETs, because there's just like there's de-evolved humanity, there's fucking de-evolved ETs, even though
right. It's like demons and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's how they've been historically recorded.
Right.
But it's interesting to contrast like spiritual essences. I started seeing auras in earnest when I was like, it started like trickled kind of thing when I was like 14, but by the time I was 16, 17, I was able to like see it like more or less at will. I can see a steady static field around everything. Even non-living objects have a slight field, but they tend to take on the energies of the people who interact with them most, and that's how psychometry works, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the essence of that. So
gotcha.
when I started seeing the human aura manifests itself across several different densities, 12 of them to be exact, that contain at least our physical being. And as you learn to see each layer, you start to discover, by the time you get to layer 4, layer 5, you start to be able to perceive non-enfleshed beings who live on those levels. And that's typically where our spirit guides tend to hang out, because it's just out of our physical interaction, but close enough that they can still kind of like, quote unquote, speak to us and quote unquote influence us.
And they can also protect us from those things. Right.
Yeah, because in the idea of a quote unquote guardian angel, they can make themselves a little bit more dense in times where they need to keep you safe, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh my God, and do shit like mortal quote. I'm sorry. Can I stop you for a second? I'm sorry. Buddy? All right. I was okay when I go through. Okay, slow down, Steve. When I go through times of high anxiety, and I am tapping into my spiritual power, right, my psychic powers, in order to get through the end of a difficult time, I will get manic. And sometimes I get manic with cards, tarot cards. And so I'll just keep reading things over and over because you can cast magic and change direction and vibration with cards. And so got to a point where the other day I was reading cards and the cards, like, okay, understand that, like, that is tarot cards are something that you use that is a tool to help you see, to use your psychic ability and see. But your spirit guides, guardian angels, whatever you want to call them, they also interact with that energy. All right. And they can do stuff with them. So COIL, the other day I'm doing this reading and I'm trying to read somebody, and they kept on giving me the wrong answer. They kept on giving, not the wrong answer, but they kept on giving me answer to the question I didn't want to know over and over and over again, because they were trying to tell me that I was getting manic and that I should not care. Like, you should not care. Let them go. Don't care. Right?
Was that one that you posted with the towers and all that kind of shit?
Bro, no. I'm talking about like a day later. Listen, okay. All right, because I'm going to tell you how this thing laid out, and it's insane. Okay, hold on. Okay, I got it over here. All right. So sometimes I do double readings, right? Sometimes I'll put the cards down once and then put cards back over top of them. This is how this reading came out. The center of it was the Hermit. The Hermit is me. All right, isolationist, searching for soul, searching for self, teacher, that kind of thing. On top of it was the Nine of Wands, which is about nightmares. Nine of Wands in reverse. Check this out. Below me, Two of Wands. Above me, Two of Pentacles. Behind me, Six of Wands. Ahead of me, Six of Pentacles, all in reverse. Next, the Four of, listen, it gets better, right? Then in the long section, right, the section after it, Four of Pentacles, reversed, Four of Wands, right? So, and then it went Page of Cups and Hopes and Fears, and then the Five of Swords at the end. So I put the rest of them down, right? So on top of the...
Your audio dropped out, Steve.
Am I right here? I'm here.
There you go. Okay. I was thinking, like, man, the spirits want that to be private.
No, they did. Listen. Okay, listen. So the Five of Swords at the end, the Five of Swords, the Five of Wands comes on top of that. The Hierophant goes on top of the Page of Cups, which is a Taurus card. It's about a teacher, right? And then it's Eight of Wands, Eight of Pentacles. I swear to God, I have never in my life read where it was doubles, like numbers. Never have I ever come up. And the question I asked was, is so-and-so a this? A narcissist. Is so-and-so really a narcissist? And it was doubles. Like, I've never seen that before. My guardian spirits were like, you shouldn't give a shit about this situation or this person. And the answer to your question, you pig-headed, stubborn fuck, is yes.
Yep. There you go, man.
So your guardian angels, and that's what happened in my kitchen when the outlet blew up, because they were going insane. Why is this demon here? You dumb fuck. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, and there's other
funny.
stuff.
He goes, you have to know when to hold him, know when to fold him, know when to walk away, know when to run.
Yes, RR. I swear, I'm stubborn. Because I'm sorry, there's this little part of me that was wondering, all right, am I seeing this wrong? Am I really seeing this wrong? No, you're not. And every ghost around me, every spirit, every guardian, all of them. You moron. No. Yes, you know what I mean? Like, just yes. And it was crazy because my son, Nathaniel, came over, who just started reading tarot. Both of my sons have gotten, dude, I'm having a great time with my boys, man. Both of my sons not finally, but they're opening up to their spirituality. They're working with me. They're letting me teach them. Like, all the things I wanted to do with somebody who wasn't worth it, my sons are doing that now. And so, so my son's my boy's over here, and he's going over it, and I'm reading them out to him, and he's going, Dad, that's you, that's us going to Florida, that's you not concentrating on us, that's you, like, all of it was right. It was the whole story of my failure, like in one big circle, in one big figure eight, one big figure eight. And so, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that is, you're absolutely right. Your guardian spirits. They are there to help, and they can make themselves dense enough to interact with you. They will reach down through your energy through your own hands, through anything around you, through other people, and they will give you messages. I have had strangers walk up to me out of nowhere and
Right.
tell me a story. Or I don't know, just tell me a story about how they just got out of prison because they were with this chick who has the same name as your crazy ex, who had this and all this similarities all over the place. And now I'm going to go live my life because I'm free of them and walk away. This is true talk. And there are entities that exist on lower vibrations that aren't necessarily, I said demons earlier, they aren't necessarily demonic. You used to talk about unenlightened. They're not demonic. They're shades, poltergeists. There are things that exist just in the opposite direction that can make themselves dense enough to affect this world that are, I want to say evil, but like very, very dark, angry, chaotic, in pain. So in pain, they've become so in pain, whether they were in this incarnation or something similar, that when they passed over, they never passed over. They remained stuck.
Right. They're attached.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, just like humans can get stuck in their own ruts and their own patterns, so can disembodied spirits. Especially if they feel so strongly about their previous incarnation that they don't want to let go of it. They don't want to, re-immerse into the fucking Odo sea of, spirituality.
Oh, and I just want to say, listen to the universe too, real quick. I'm sorry, little off topic, but on topic. Okay. If the crazy ex you're not supposed to be with comes to your new place that you wanted her to move into and brings their animal and leaves a pestilence of fleas that take you to forever get rid of, and then the next time you see them, they come over and you all of a sudden, right? And all of a sudden, because they were getting over a cold, you get the nastiest chest cold that fucks your whole throat up and you can't even talk, hardly. All right, those are signs. Those are signs.
Yeah.
I just understand.
How many fucking signposts do you need, buddy? They're gonna start beating you over the head with the stop sign.
Bro, listen. I love brick walls. I love hitting my head up against brick walls, and it is what it is. I can't help it. I'm sorry. It takes forever.
It is what it is.
But you pay attention to those signs, man. They happen all around you all the time. And if you're being dumb enough, like if you really need guidance, if you are just making a mistake that you should not be making over and over again, there will be signs that happen around you. All right. Your ancestors, your spirits, something is going to remind you either why you shouldn't be doing what you're doing or just like punish you. Just like this is, pestilence and sickness. It's not worth it. Get away. All right. We're blowing up your kitchen because you're not listening. It's just trust me, guys. It is real talk. The realm of spirituality is as much connected to what you are doing every day. Driving, going to work, watching TV, working on, doing a project, whatever it is. This realm is as much a part of your life as sex, love, walking, talking, vision, action. It is all intertwined, and ignore it at your own peril. Use it, thoroughly use it, whether you're psychic or everyone's a bit psychic. Every one of you has the potential.
Have to figure out your specific gift. Yeah.
Right. Because we all have certain gifts. Right. But use it as a guide. All right. Like, I don't care what religion or faith you are, spirituality you are, there are beings that will help to guide you through life and make it easier for you if you pay attention to what nature, the goddess, the Lord, whatever you look at, the way it's trying to talk to you. Just pay attention.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's why Muggles are so scared of the tarot, because it's such a don't give a fuck. Here's how it is.
Yes. And not only that, but, like we were talking about demagogues earlier. Talking about people who are trying to keep you in cognitive fog. People who are trying to dumb you down. And also demonic forces, dark forces, like all of that. When you are, if you utilized all of the tools available to you to connect yourself to your intuition and to your spirit guides, to your higher power, any system that tries to keep you from doing that is not a system that is trying to enlighten you. They are trying to control you, control the illusion, make you a part of a mass delusion, and keep you as a low vibrating being. Then that is what it is.
Yeah. And it takes work to hone psychic skills. Like your psychic skill is like a muscle that you have to train.
Yes.
The more you use it, the better you get at it, and the better that you get at it, the more you're able to use it. And if you stop using it or cut yourself off, it atrophies.
And using it can be just as easy as recognizing it, as just listening. You know what I mean? Like, it can be just as easy as that, guys, because that's how I got back on my horse.
Yeah. Well, just a simple way is to start paying attention to coincidences, things that line up in pairs or especially triplets. Take into consideration, or like Steven said, if somebody walks up and says something, even if you're passing by and it's like fucking pertinent and they're talking to somebody completely different, or you turn on the radio and the fucking guy's talking about it, or the song's playing, or whatever, those are all loud and clear signs that you should pay attention.
Connected.
Yeah,
because we're all connected. All of us are connected. All right, one string that gets pulled on the other side of the earth goes through a million people. Absolutely. All right, and it may mean something different to each of those million people, but it's all true knowledge. It's all true connection. And you listen to that. If you have an impulse, your first instinctive impulse about something, that's your authentic self. That's your spirit self. Your ego is the one that says nah, or puts a fear, or puts a block in front of you. All right. And there's a difference between, excuse me, there is a difference between a dark force doing that and your ego doing that. A dark force plays on your ego. It will challenge your ego and put you in a situation where it accentuates your ego. But that first impulse that you get, that first unabated, unfiltered instinct that you have, that is your psychic self. That is your spirit. And listen, just remember to listen to that, and you'll be good.
Yeah. Because a lot of times you'll get an intuitive hit and you'll know, but then your mind starts working on it and starts like associating it with all its previous experience and what the encyclopedia says and what the internet says. And before you know it, yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, your mind, all right, your mind works against you. All right, listen, your physical body, your eyes, your ears, your mind, your balls, all these things work against you. They all have a function that, if used properly, can help you along your journey of life. Your spirit is entirely different. It is a part of all that. It's connected to you. Yep. It speaks to you from the inside, the core of your chakra. But once that instinct, which speaks to you through your mind, okay, we'll put it that way. But your mind will instantaneously put the filters through it. The filters of your experience, your fears, your angers, your this, all of that.
And your media.
Exactly. And as soon as it goes through those filters, it starts to distort that spiritual pulse, that premonition, that feeling that you were given. You have to, and that's why it's very important to understand. One of the things that's helped me a lot over the last year is learning the difference between your ego and your authentic self. Because your ego, a healthy ego is a good thing. It helps you to, it can be used for offense, defense, protection, aggression. It can be used for good things, but it works against you like all of the other tools, your physical tools. It works against you because once your psychic center, once your spirit goes through the ego filter, it will become something else. It absolutely will. So you have to know the difference between that and your psychic self. Just like when you're behaving, when I was doing that video, that's popping. It's popping like a motherfucker right now. But when I did that video, like you can actually see me. Go to ego. They'll put like, okay, COIL, the video that you were talking about earlier, the one where I'm just like going off, like that's me. That's all ego, right? That's all ego. It's truth, but it's not, And then when I did that video just now, earlier yesterday or last night, I could feel ego. And when I felt ego happening, I shut it down. Stop, Steve, slow down. Because the message I was trying to send was authentic. This is my authentic thoughts, my authentic self. And you have to do that all the time, guys, with everything that you go through. Understand the difference. Sometimes sometimes you present ego because that's what people want to see. Sometimes you present ego because that's what you need in order to get you through a situation. But understand the difference and control it, because if you don't if you don't control your ego, and if you don't have a healthy ego, then you'll have psychic impressions and thoughts that will hit that filter and become something entirely different. Your spirit might have said, "Yo, motherfucker, take a left," and then it goes through your ego. And once it hits that, healthy or unhealthy, you might get the impression, my soul, my side just told me to make a right because fuck these motherfuckers. Or he goes, I'll go a right because I'm not backing down. And that's not right. Take that left. Listen to your spirit. Listen to that first impulse. And I'm done ranting. I'm sorry. It's just these are
good, man.
This is valuable information as far
All
as
these
I'm concerned.
topics are circular, and I think that they need
Yeah.
to be discussed. And that's why I like doing the show with you, because a lot of
me too,
times,
bro.
a lot of times like I say, I travel around. I don't talk to many people because I don't find many conversations worth getting into. I don't want to talk to people about their cats or their dogs or whatever. I want to
Well,
talk
I'm
about
very
stuff like
glad.
this.
I'm very glad, Coil, that you have taken the patience with someone like me who is enlightened and at times base. I thank you so much for being my friend in this way and being
Yeah, dude.
patient with me, because
Yeah.
it's been a hard road, and
Well, it is.
having someone who understands the higher frequencies and has patience with someone who is battling his own demons. I guess I have been battling some demons, and I thank you so much for that, man. You've been essential to my healing journey, and I love you, brother.
I love you too, man. You have a lot of potential, and you've helped me out too. I'm not perfect either, man. I've struggled with my own, like, getting in my own way kind of shit. I'm finally getting my shit together, but I always knew it would be like more difficult before it got better. And a lot
Yeah,
of that has to do with staying true to your original intent and not allowing um, life to distract you off of your purpose.
yeah.
So I appreciate you for that. Um, so what we were saying before we got into all this, I was talking about how when I started to perceive uh, auras, I started to be able to perceive the beings that lived on higher densities. And the penultimate experience of that was when I physically saw my guides. At the time, I had 3 of them. And it's like they all looked at me, and one of them started moving. And for whatever reason, that just freaked me the fuck out. I was just like,
Hmm.
because I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Like, if you're not, if you can't see auras, it's kind of like seeing a silhouette, like a clear see-through silhouette.
Yeah.
And the first couple of times that I started looking, they would just stand there and let me see them. But then one of them started moving closer to me, and it freaked me out. I remember I had to like go and you know, I had to leave the room and go and like be with an enfleshed person because it was like, a lot of
Yeah.
weird stuff started happening then. I would see spirits and people not connected to guidance, but when I finally connected to guidance, I started to be able to hear them in my head.
Hmm.
I started practicing automatic writing a little bit,
Oh,
but I
really?
found, I found that was too slow though, because the ideas were coming to me faster than I could write them down,
Wow, I've
and I
never even
didn't.
tried that. Oh.
Yeah, if smartphones existed, I might have been able to swipe quick enough.
Hmm.
I don't even know if I could have typed fast enough, but automatic writing is kind of interesting as long as you're open to the correct people. I
Hmm.
actually was doing automatic writing, and some negative ETs were trying to talk through me. And I was just
Hmm.
like, fuck that. I knew that was false shit.
Dude, how do you know the difference between spiritual and ET?
Well, it's the difference is in the type of intelligence and in the type of vibe and in the type of information that you're being provided.
Hmm.
Um, Physically enfleshed beings also have physical needs and physical drives. And so a lot of the stuff that they will talk about will be of material. Now, the ones that were trying to talk to me through automatic writing, and this is back in the late 90s. This is when, like, Ashtar Command and all that fucking shit was like a big deal. And you'd have like books come out every fucking other day where they're like, I'm Cryon from Zoltar 7 and I have the message for humanity,
Yeah.
Or a really big popular thing was like people who were channeling Pleiadians. And some of them were better than others, but some of them were just like really fucking like, and here's when the fucking lizard people ate Mars, and shit that like is like slightly plausible because we've heard it in pop culture, but that's just like a little bit too acid trippy and like filtered through the author's experience to be
Right.
100%. Like they might have gotten 40% of it right, but then that means like 60% of what you read is fucking horse shit. Right?
You ever see you ever see you ever check out a YouTube called Spirit Science? They're kind of like that too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but that's okay. So ETs typically express physical agendas because they're concerned with the politics of infleshed beings in the galaxy and how all that shit's going to affect the shape of the planet or the development of the star system, or the needs of a race. And especially that's the messages that we're getting were about they were renegade grays, and they were once I woke up and was starting to be interacted with, the grays really fucking wanted me bad, but I would resist. That's not a vibe. And not to say that there's not like enlightened grays, but like the ones that were trying to get me to automatically write, that is not the type of people that I wanted to see. And I'd start seeing them around in the ethers, those short little motherfuckers who you could probably like punt with your foot. And I was like, you are not welcome here. You need to get the fuck away from me.
Right.
And that could be like a whole show in itself, just like dealing with those fuckers. But contrast that with spirit, like talking with Spirit Guide, they were concerned with me as a person and how I was developing as a like I was a 16, 17 years old, and when you're a male and when you're psychically wired and you still have like like I got 2 girls pregnant and neither of them kept it. But so you're dealing with like your hormones and your drives, and you're trying to be psychic and you're trying to master these skills, and your guidance will be for what's best for you. And it's just like the tarot. They will say it like it is, and it's up to you to decide whether to act on it or not.
And see it when, like tarot, when you read. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but another difference that I found is that with spirit and with spirit guides, there's a non-judgmental component. There's the whole like, okay, that pan's hot, don't grab it, and then you grab it and you're like, ow, and they're like, why did you do that? We told you not to grab it. Whereas infleshed ETs can develop like grudges or like an unwillingness to work with you if you don't behave according to their program.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay, I understand what you're saying now. They have ego.
They do.
Okay.
Whereas spirit is more selfless. It's more like the spirit of assistance. They want you to evolve closer to source and closer to the prime creator as a spirit, because they primarily see you as spirit. They see you as infleshed, and they understand the limitations of monkey mind and the limitations placed upon the genome as it expresses itself.
Okay,
Yeah.
so infleshed ETs. Now, can they?
Yes.
Okay, so can they interact with you through other infleshed beings, like a spirit or a demon can, or an angel?
Okay, so I'll tell you a story real fast. When I was 16, right around the time I first started like seeing auras and waking up and reading books, and this is probably like 96, 97, somewhere in there. I met my first Tai Chi Sifu, and before she was my Sifu, she held this spiritual rebirthing workshop. There was a psychic there, and there was a really powerful psychic who was leading the workshop, and then there was kind of like a an attendee who was not, I don't want to say she was like dark side, but she was less aligned with the light. And she saw me, and the chick leading the workshop specifically like pointed me out and told me like I'm powerful and this and that, and like things that would really pump up your ego if you were not a humble person. Because at the time I was like completely depressed and like starting to shut down, and we went to the spiritual rebirthing class to try to let go of some of that shit. So the less light aligned psychic came up to me later and was like, "Hey, there's something about you. I'd like to read you for free. If you could just have your mom bring you to this address on this day, then let's go ahead and do it." So I said, "Okay." So we go out there, and she starts telling me stuff about myself that only a psychic would know. So I basically, she was displaying her credentials. She's like, "Okay, I know that you're this and you're that and you're the other thing. Cool." She goes, "There is a group of ETs that would like to work with you." And I said, "Okay." And she goes, "This is going to sound kind of controversial, but they're the Greys." And I said, "No, thank you." And she's like, "Are you sure?" So
Wow.
this is an instance where the Greys are working through her. They have
Okay.
they have enhanced her psychic abilities for the purposes of, because nothing can happen without free will. Okay, even if you're terrified into accepting or relinquishing free will, that's still relinquishing free will. But if you are firm in yourself and you say no, unequivocally not, I don't care
Right.
what you do, even if you fucking kill me, no. But yeah, so that's an instance where an ET has influenced an infleshed being. Now I don't know if that's what you meant, or if you're talking about some David Icke shit where lower level lizard entities are trying to possess,
No,
bodies.
no, 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 no. I mean, okay, but that is part of the question. But no,
Ah,
you answered what I was wondering because
okay.
like I go back and I think about the interaction I had with one demon that was just so overt. Like I was still battling suicidal feelings, and I was having a good day, and this person just rolled up on me, and for like 5-6 minutes, it was someone in a position of authority
Huh.
who was literally poking at me for almost fucking 8 minutes. You're gonna kill
Wow.
yourself. You're gonna kill yourself. You're gonna kill yourself. Yeah, I know you want to kill yourself, don't you? You're gonna kill yourself, like, right? And saying
Yeah.
it in a way, that was, I'm looking out for you. I'm looking out for you. And it was completely, it definitely was a demonic person, a person possessed with demonic spirits, And
Definitely.
yeah, and it was just like one of the fucking craziest moments of my life. And the reason for that was the situation I was involved with, which was with people who are demonic. It's crazy. Those vibrations help one another. They look out for each other, especially if you've been targeted by a really evil person who works in dark forces, who is possessed, who's just given up fighting the idea, and they don't care. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
those types of, the like attracts like, so those types of people, like throughout the ether, 14 fucking hours away, something of a similar vibration, dark vibration, came to fucking ball check me, to try and get me to end my life, because I was far enough away and had cut off communication with the people who were trying to harass me into suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that shit happens. So I was wondering, so I was just, that came to mind, and I was thinking to myself, all right, there's definitely instances in my life that I have not seen. Could ETs do something like that? But I guess that's something entirely different.
Well, the other thing that helps is if you place yourself in the mindset of an ET who's interested in Earth, okay, and you have to ask yourself what their motivations are, and you have to think about it in terms of there's like a scientific curiosity there. There's like
Yeah,
a diplomatic kind of thing going on, and then there's the influence of their culture and their understanding of
yeah,
galactic history and evolution. And some of these beings don't even have the same type of connection with source that we do. That's why they find us such fascinating beings, because the predecessor to the human that existed on planet Earth was very much in tune with the earth and in tune with spirit,
It was
but
enlightenment.
they weren't necessarily like physically evolved or technologically evolved.
Right.
So when
You're talking
the
about like the people of Limeria.
yeah,
Okay.
like not the Homo sapien that we are now, but like
Right.
the primate
The
ancestor.
predecessor. Right.
Yeah, that existed before. And I'm not talking about Homo habilis. I'm talking about something slightly smarter than that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
like before,
yeah,
just before Cro-Magnon or around Cro-Magnon.
yeah, right
Yeah,
around
okay.
then, before the genetics were completely fucked with. But
Right.
the thing is that over the course of galactic history, okay, Earth is like on a outer rim spiral of the Orion arm is how we classify it. We're
Mhm.
far enough away that we're removed from most of the um, main elder cultures. I guess that's a way to
Mhm.
explain it. That when they came and discovered Earth, like it was just this beautiful little blue jewel that was biodiverse, and uh, every time a civilization or a culture would come through, they just kind of come down and play with genetics a little bit. They
Mhm.
just kind of like tweak things here and there. They take a little vacation, say like 150, 200 years. They'd play around with some stuff and then they'd fuck off and go away.
Mhm.
And over time, um, those people coming in and tweaking with the genome created a being that was a conglomerate of many of them. Matter of fact, the
Mhm.
human genome has about 2 dozen or so different ET um, pieces to it,
Mhm.
in addition to our own native primate simian kind of thing. Um, so that's part of why that they're interested in our genetics, because we're compatible with them. That's how come
Mhm.
we're able to mate with them. That's how come we're able to produce, in some instances, very viable offspring.
Mhm.
But when you look at the motivations of somebody like the Greys who have overcloned themselves, they need that influx of um, genetic material in order to keep their physical creature going. But
Right.
aside from that, that race doesn't have a very um, close connection to source at all. They don't understand spirituality. They don't really understand emotions. They're more shut down than Mr. Spock, who is half human. But
Right.
to them, everything's an equation. And if you can't incorporate spirit, there's a limit. There's like a ceiling to how far you can evolve, like dimensionally. You can get like very wonderful technology that can manipulate matter or whatever, but you still can't get to source.
Right.
And I'm sorry, that's a race that's destined to die. There's
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, most of the little ones that you see, they're like organic AI robots. They're not really they don't have a soul, they're not whatever. The
Wow.
taller ones, there's probably about 100,000 of the taller ones. Those are the ones that are actually like in flesh grays that once they're dead, they're done.
Yeah.
Um, I have had experiences with the grays, but I refuse to like breed with them and stuff. It's more like a spiritual guidance thing.
Mhm.
I've it's really funny. There's several different ways to interact with ETs. One way is that they come down, they land, and you walk on their ship and you go somewhere. That's
Mhm.
a very difficult way to do things because your body has certain reactions to being an extraterrestrial presence because it's alien. And I don't really
Right.
like using that word too much, but in this instance, alien really it creeps out your physiology, especially if it's something that's not mammalian. If it's
Right.
something that's like human or slightly human or close to human, then you can deal with it a little bit better, even though it's kind of creepy because the
Yeah, yeah.
proportions are different. But if you're dealing with something that's like insectoid or reptilian, like it creeps out your genetics because those are things that
Are
hunted
wholly
our
foreign.
yeah, and they hunted our mammal ancestors way back in the day. A lot of people are irrationally afraid of snakes
Mhm.
because they have that mouse shrew kind of memory in their hindbrain. Or
It's
like
crazy. My
yeah.
son was just talking about. My son was just last night. He was showing me this picture of like Yeah, have you ever seen, I forget what he called it. You ever seen so and so pictures? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he showed me this picture, and he said this gives people an irrational fear. And it was a picture of a couple people, but the eyes were distorted, like it
Uh-huh.
looked almost a little alien.
Yeah.
And he says this picture, he goes, they think the reason that these images creep people out is because it triggers something deep down from a time when we were hunted. Oh no, his reason was Neanderthals. He goes, Neanderthals were cannibals. That's what he's read.
Hmm.
And so when we recognize them, we understood that that species will eat us. They're human. They're not human, but they're human. That, like they're, and I think,
Certain reptilians certainly would.
and right, and so I'm
Yeah.
thinking like that just triggered my mind into thinking, okay, that information is like 50% valid, but I think you're right. I think that the reason is that we get triggered by certain things that look alien or irrational fears is because we innately know that those creatures are there to hurt us, harm us, eat us, use us, and that's why we get triggered.
Well, and somebody physically presenting in that way. Now, imagine if they had a dark negative aura at the same time.
Oh my God, it'd be a monster to us. It would look like a monster.
It would, and think about, and I'm not saying that these beings are, but just to draw a parallel, the cover of the book Communion. You know how many people like just fucking don't like it?
No.
Yeah. Well, have
What do
you
you?
ever
I'm
read that
sorry.
book?
No, yeah, no, no, yeah. Continue. Explain that to me, please.
Yeah. Well, so and that's just to show like the differences in physiology and the being on that book is not what they really look like. And Whitley
Hmm.
Strieber has actually said that he changed it on purpose so that he can tell who's genuine and who's not.
Hmm.
But just the proportion of the eyes and the shape of the head and all that kind of stuff, it's foreign enough and creepy enough. But at that point in our history, people had been covertly interacted with by that race for probably, I don't know, 40, 50 years at that point.
Hmm.
So it's something that was in our collective unconscious as a trauma because
No shit.
that particular faction doesn't, they look at us, they look at Earth like a farm and we're kind of like cattle, you
Right.
know. And it's very puzzling to them when they come across somebody like me who is yes, I'm a fucking animal, but I'm like a seat or two, like a row or two away from fucking prime creator, dude. And I'm not even
Yeah.
gonna fucking lie or sugarcoat it. I'll say
Hmm.
that to you and I'll say that to the audience, but that's not something that I walk around and just like hang my dick out and talk
Right.
about. So they encounter somebody like me and they're like puzzled because like I represent everything that they want, but they can't understand why.
Hmm.
And so I was talking about the ways that they can interact with you. They can physically take you, which is traumatizing to the body and counterproductive and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. They can also, um, since they exist on 4, 5, 6 as well. So usually 3, 4, 5, 6 is where ETs manifest themselves in
Okay.
this galaxy at this particular time. They can interact with you on an energetic level, so you can leave your body behind and kind of do like an out of body thing with them
Okay.
and be there energetically, or and this is interesting too because I've had this experience, they can prepare vessels and your essence can inhabit their physical vessels that they have prepared for you and then walk around on the
Wow.
ship as more or less one of them.
So so you actually project into another
Into an
avatar.
correct.
Wow.
Correct. Now that's typically how I've tended to interact with beings like the Greys. So
Hmm.
I would project into an avatar that's somewhat hybrid, but
Hmm.
closer to human, and
Hmm.
serve as like a teaching being. There was an instance where something was broken, like a piece of their technology had landed in the woods and was fucked up. And I don't know if I've talked about this with you on a different broadcast, but Terran human beings have the ability to take apart anything and put it back together. We're master reverse engineers for whatever
Mhm.
reason. So whatever was wrong with this mechanism, they brought me out there to fix it. And there's this tall being, wearing this like white fucking gown thing. I don't know how to explain it. And it didn't understand why the thing was broken. And I walked up to it and I was like, it's broke here because of this. And it was like, oh, which is really weird because they can build things that can fly across the fucking universe. But if one of their things fucking break and land down here, they need one of us to explain it to them. I don't get that. So yeah, those are the primary three ways that I've interacted with them.
Okay.
Obviously, for the mating thing, you would need to physically be there if they want your DNA. I've had a lot of interactions with just like the astral projection thing where I'm not inhabiting an avatar, but I've also had interactions where I've inhabited an avatar. And it's funny because I've talked to people that I've co-experienced with, and they were like, yeah, I knew it was you, but you didn't look like you. And I said the same thing. I was like, I knew it was you, but you didn't look like you either.
Dude, that's how dream walking is. That's what I do when I dream walk.
Yeah.
Like I understand what you're saying exactly. I mean, you talk to somebody at some point later point, and they're talking about their experience or their dream, and I said they go and they start saying they saw you or that something happened, and you continue the dream. Like you start talking about the shared experience, and they're like, oh my god, that was you. That's crazy, dude. That's I'm sorry. That you understand what I'm talking about? Like that's crazy.
I do. And you were talking about avenues to introduce yourself to ETs. Dream walking and astral projection are certainly a way to do it. Just make sure you're reaching out to Evolved. We got Drew Supreme Heretic. What's up, buddy? He says, I wish fucking ET would take me and dissolve me and make me an afterthought because honestly, I'm feeling done with life. Dude, my heart goes out to you, Drew. You can reach out to us anytime, buddy. But to tell you the truth, death is not an exit. If you died, you ultimately have to recreate your circumstance, and probably it would be twice as difficult. Hang in there, man. We love you, buddy.
All strife is a learning tool.
Yeah.
Keep it strong, brother. Trust me, you can get through it. I went through it too. Love you.
Same. I'm still kind of like going through it. I just don't. I try not to. I try not to dwell on the negative. It is what it is. Things are how they are. I have the ability to change it. I can use my insight, my third eye, to picture the reality that I want to step into, and I will, as long as I don't fuck up and get in my own way. Then my fate is assured. Case in point.
I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
That's okay. Case in point, my lease is up tomorrow, and I am stepping out into an unknown. You know, I got a buddy who's going to let me ride his couch for a little bit, but after that, it's like I gotta find a new domicile, and it's one that's closer to where I am. I'm basically killing myself trying to get to work every day, so I'm gonna get closer to where I work. It's gonna be okay, but I knew back in November when I accepted this job that it was gonna be bullshit, at least until January, and I just had to walk through the fire.
And that's what you did. But now this, you having to leave,
does.
but you having to leave, this is opening. I'm sure you already know. This is opening the door to make it easier for your experience and advance you in your life. You know, my heart, brother. You got this, brother.
We also got Rook in the house. What up? He says, hey, fatties. Hey, fellow trans.
Hell, fatty.
Appreciate you, man. So yeah, Steven, if you wish to open yourself up to contact, use the dream walking thing. Because honestly, I've had instances where I was dream walking and I was being observed as I was doing so. And I turned to look. Yeah, I turned to look, and the character observing me just looked a little bit odd. So I directly addressed myself to them, and I was like, hey, are you a shape-shifted being? And they turned into themselves, and they were like, yeah, you got me.
Wow.
I find you interesting. Because most people, when they're dreaming, they're not paying attention. They're just, they're subject to the whims of they're experiencing their dream construct as something that's happening to them and not something that they
Yes.
have constructed.
Well,
Right?
then that's the biggest. I'm
Everybody
sorry,
go watch Inception. Sorry.
It is the biggest issue for me, because I would love to do that, and it's something I've been able to do since I was a kid. Is that when when the understanding that I am constructing the world is not constructing me. You know what I mean? When that happens, I will lose focus. It's something about me. I get really excited. I get overexcited, and then everything breaks down, and I wake up.
Well, sure. The mind likes to dwell on extremes of experience, and oftentimes it'll follow us into our dreams. So, like, I got bit by a dog over Thanksgiving, and then I'm not afraid of dogs. I've handled dogs. I've trained dogs. I've worked with large dogs. But all of a sudden, I was having dreams about dogs the size of horses or like mean wolf dogs, and they would like latch onto my finger and not let go. And it's not like they were like shaking and trying to do the death rattle. They clamped on and wouldn't let go, and I was trying to get them off my hand. And it's like the body trauma, and it's like the mind trying to exercise the body trauma out of it. But for whatever reason, you drag that into the dream state. So instead of doing the dream work that you potentially could do, you're releasing stress.
Right. And that is maybe not avoiding, but not wholly dealing with or being able to overcome the experience. That's what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. Or like if you have dreams about somebody that you're obsessing over, or like an ex or something like that, there's a portion of you that's not letting go. You're not fully physically in the moment. And if you're a dream walker, you know the difference between doing that and doing like pure lucid dreaming, where you're actively creating your universe around you. But what I'm saying is,
there's also, there's like, pardon me if I'm wrong, but there is levels to that, like levels of experience. Because I have lucid dreamed, or I have walked, where there's a degree of me interacting with the world, whereas the world is Hey, what's up, Pop? Full awareness. Like when I have full awareness is when I'll get overexcited and break down. Because you can build anything. You can do anything you want. Whether it's like, oh my God, I can fly now or something like that. But there's like this in-between place. Is the state that I usually exist in, is this in-between place where you're in an experience that is constructed by the subconscious or the unconscious, or you're in another realm and you are operating within that realm. Like that's usually, that's what I'm talking about. I go to other places or into other dreams. I can go into other people's dreams and shit.
Well, yeah, and then you're subjected to the dream physics of that realm, and
exactly, and you're operating within that universe. Now, depending on what you're doing, like there's concept. I've been a dark witch my whole life. Is what it is, But when I'm operating, when I'm going after somebody, and I invade, I'm walking into their world, and I am controlling the energy in their world. I'm trying to, or changing the energy in the world. I'm trying to be Freddy Krueger. You know what I mean? Like, for lack of a better term. That's what that's what it is.
Dude.
And so, I know.
Bite you.
Dude, I know this. Listen, it did. She did. Okay? All of it did. I get it. And I'm trying to chat. Like, I was having this talk with my kid. I was like, if I could just turn everything that I can do to the light, like to like healing and prosperity and protection and all, if I could do that, then I would be living a great life. But like when I walk,
let me have you pause for a sec, because this is actually leading into the next
all right, cool.
flow of topic. You're actually like reading me again. So all this is to say, like the chick that I was talking to denied the seed that the extraterrestrials would readily accept, and I thought that was really interesting. So we'll close that topic down. I want to say hail to the chat. Make sure you like, share, and sub. Hit the thumbs up if you're in here. I just crossed 559 subs. I'm on my way to monetization, so make sure you're playing the stream in a closed tab on mute sometime, so I can finally get paid for this shit. And then this next section is brought to you by Log. Yes, Log. All kids love Log. Okay.
That is so bad.
Yeah. So
Oh,
dream
God.
walking is actually, that was going to be like the next topic. So it's interesting how you're like flowing into this, like you're really channeling this tonight.
I'm here with you, brother.
Yeah. So go ahead. What were you saying before?
I'm eating a chicken strip. No, please go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Well, so yeah, if you're, I would have dreams like this quite a bit, okay, where I'm walking around a mall or like some sort of public shopping center, and then I start to realize that I'm dreaming and I go lucid. Now, when I'm in a situation like that, the first thing that I like to do is fly. Like I'll levitate, like I'll jump off the ground and pop into like a seated lotus position or something and just like cruise around. And there's like hundreds of people around. And typically of those hundreds of people, some of them might actually be like other dreamers. You never know.
Oh,
Some of
right,
them
right.
might just be part of the construct. That's okay. It just depends on how the dream starts to flow after that, and whether you surrender your lucidity or you start to get caught up into something. I remember a couple of times when I was younger, I'd go lucid in situations like that, and I'd start to get real pervy, and I'd walk around and like feel up girls and stuff. And sometimes there was a reaction to that, like they'd get pissed
Uh-huh.
off at me, and like they'd all turn around and like look at me. But then there was a time I remember where I was like, okay, they're going to get pissed off at me. So I walked up to one that was like receptive, and I was like, this is what I want to do in this dream tonight. Can you go and find me like 12 other women who want to do this too? And she'd come back, and it was like, great. But that's all fun and good, but like, that's not really like the optimum use of a lucid dream state. Um, I'd have other lucid dreams where, like I was saying, I became cognizant of the fact that I was being observed, and the person who was observing me was actually like a shape-shifted, in-fleshed ET, and they just kind of wanted to see what I would do. And it's really funny because a lot of times they don't present as races that are, shown on TV or whatever. Sometimes they do. I've actually turned around and had like grays right behind me, and man,
Holy shit.
I had to get in their face. Like they do this fucking like eye fuck thing, and they try to get you to submit through fear by staring at you through their eyes. And uh you can turn that right around, especially the shorter ones. If you like alpha up and like you're scolding a dog or something, they will back the fuck down. Absolutely. Um yeah.
Dragon, the black dragon, bro. The black dragon. Okay. Fuck. All right.
So there you go.
Okay, hold
Um,
on. You shared a lot of shit tonight that you don't like. That's his
well,
look, dude. It is so brave. It is brave as hell for you to come forward with some of the things that you say, because I'm
I
gonna
really
share
don't.
something too.
Yeah, I really don't feel like I get the opportunity to quite a bit. I remember a couple weeks ago I wanted to go into this stuff, and you were like, I don't want to talk about fucking aliens. I was like, shit, dude.
I'm sorry. Listen. Well, because this is the thing. When you talk to people, and whether people have these experiences or some of these experiences or not, it's not something they're willing to wake up to or they're willing to talk about, right? And that's why I don't like me. For me, I don't talk about some of the things I can do because people don't. People are just like, yeah, you're full of shit. They're bullshit. What? Or they just don't want to believe it. Whatever the fuck. And so I'm like, all right, whatever. Ignorance for me, for someone like me, I've said this so many times. Ignorance is my favorite tool. I'm glad you don't believe me. Like that's great. And I do that. Whereas you come from like a state of you don't talk to people about it because they won't understand what you're saying. You're being open and you talk about it. I don't talk to people about it because of ego. Like
Well, it's
that.
unrelatable to most people because most people
Right.
are concerned about the device in their hand. They're not, or the fucking what's sexy at the mall kind of shit. And that's
Right.
just not something that I can just, casually bring up. But it's also, I notice that there is a irresponsibility in the people who are out in the public sphere because some of those are like no shit charlatans. They will look you in the eye and take your money and tell you what you want to hear.
Right.
And that's just not how I've operated in my life at all. And when I'll know a genuine contactee because of how they're talking about shit. If somebody wants to put on a cape or like, charge you for a movie or whatever, and they're just doing it for the ham up aspect of it, I know that they're full of shit. They're just looking for a buck. The people who have been through this thing, their lives have changed, and
Yes.
only other people who have walked through it can really understand.
Yeah, I understand.
It's funny to kind of be like, yeah, I fucked an alien, but like, there's implications to that. I'll tell you this. Usually, when I'm being like, a stud or whatever, it's during periods of celibacy with human females. Like, like I'll go 2-3 years
You're
in
not
between.
tainted. You're not tainted, right?
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point. So I'll go 2-3 years in between relationships. I don't really whore around too much. I'd prefer to be a whore in the relationship that I'm in after a woman has proved her fucking worth to me.
Dig it.
But in between, the energy fades off of earth women, and then I'm a vessel for spirit. And that's typically when I'm tapped to, yeah. And again, it's because, like we're saying, we have those about 24 races that we're fully compatible with. A lot of those races are older and kind of, they need an influx. And then they also need an influx from somebody who's connected to spirit.
So
here we go.
Okay, so two things. One, there are two things. I want to admit two things I don't really talk about. I don't at all to anybody. And then the second one. The second one's actually kind of a question to you, because you're on a whole higher level on some of the stuff that I can do. You're on a whole other level.
Well, you can do a lot of shit I can't do either.
When you were talking about like the Greys and how they'll try and intimidate you through staring at you.
Yes.
I have been through that experience, but it wasn't with like a Grey. It's with other people who have different levels of my gifts, I guess. Other beings that are not in flesh, they're in astral form. And dude, the black dragon and the white wolf, the reason for those is they're very connected to everything that I've been my entire life. I will intimidate if I have to, like, growl somebody. Let's just say I have to make them step off. Like, yeah, I'm dangerous, right? If I'm dealing with another astral being, then I'm the wolf, the growl, the stare. Like, I understand that. If I am full on intimidating, if I am going after, like, if I feel that I need to show that off, I'm the black dragon. I give him a dragon face. That's what I become in that form. When I am going after, and this is the weird thing though. Now listen, when I am using astral form to put a protection over someone or a space, I will use the dragon form. When I am going in and just pulling someone's mind apart, just walking, whether they're alive or asleep. I've been doing it the last couple of weeks. It's a damn shame. When I go into someone's head and begin to pull apart, go into the darkest recesses of their mind and start playing, just pulling apart like you're pulling apart taffy, I'm the wolf. And a lot of that, the way that I meditate in and pull out of doing that is eating their brain out of their skull in wolf form. It's horrible. I know, I'm such a bad, horrible. Well, anyway, okay, so that's how I am. That's why the black dragon and white wolf.
Is that like a defense thing or an offense thing?
Okay, defensively, the greatest offense is the stronger offense is the greatest defense. That's always been how I've approached my magic, my astral form, my psychic ability. That's just what it is. If I get hit, I'm going to come back with everything. I'm going to fucking destroy you. Like that's how it is. So that you never come at me again. And that doesn't mean that I've always won. I have lost. I absolutely have lost. But Defensively, really, I mean, when I'm dealing with those types of things defensively, I have my labyrinth. I've constructed a labyrinth since I was a teenager. And it is a meditation that I go into that protects my core. This labyrinth has many different traps that have been just like that I've put energy into, manifested, created. Every now and again, I'll go back in and go over them. But in order to get to me, you have to get through those defenses. Now, that's not saying that they're impenetrable. They're not. But it's a great way to defend my mind and my psychic center. One of the problems that I had with Narc X, because she is psychic. I'm not going to say she's not. She absolutely is. She's a telepath. She's fucking psychic. Yeah, she's absolutely got power.
I felt it when we were streaming.
Oh yeah, yeah. She can manifest. She can cash. My son was just saying the other day because she's done certain things to manipulate. Real quick. Right, one of the last times that she hoovered me in, she came over and took a fucking a keychain off that she had bought when she ghosted me when she was supposed to move, when the U-Haul was outside of her house, and she ghosted me and went with the other guy. So she comes over, she bought a keychain during that trip. She came over with that keychain, got out of the car, burned it with a torch, like burned it with a torch lighter, and said some shit under her breath with me watching, and then threw it down on the ground, and then hung out with me all night, had sex, and then ghosted me again.
Wow.
And my youngest says, that's a spell. That's a cat's casting a spell. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And my son was like, no, that's a fucking spell. And I thought about it. And I'm like, yeah. So I was like, did you ever teach her? I was like, no, I wanted to teach her. I always wanted to teach her. Like Storm.
And then she used sex magic on top
yes.
of that.
Oh,
Holy
yes.
fuck, dude.
Yes. Listen, when I was trying to teach her before, she was like, I don't want to learn spells because I know I'll misuse them. She already knows how to. The reason that Storm, right? I never came out with the names. That was my secret name. Storm was my secret name. She was the first person I ever showed my great grimoire to. And for a magician, that's everything. That's it. That's you.
Yeah.
Your symbol, your everything. And she went through it and she said, what's this? And I was like, that's my secret name. Because I thought I found the love of my life. She uses that because it's a power tool to directly hit me. I had in my
exactly why you shouldn't show people shit.
I know, bro. In my temple, the temple at the center of the labyrinth, which is where I exist, I constructed a throne, and I made a throne for her. And last year, when like the last of the most horrible shit was going on, because I was going through dreams and shit. Right, I was going through astral projections and shit with these people. Mm-hmm. I realized it came to me one night. I forget exactly how it came to me, but I was in astral form and it came to me. I had constructed, there was a back door at the back of my throne room for her. I had literally circumvented all of my defenses, gave her, she took my sacred name, my hidden sacred name, made it a part of her, used spell work, used her psychic ability, and I had allowed it to the point where she had a doorway straight into my fucking temple, straight into my throne room. And I was like,
real fast, I think Drew can relate to you. He says, part of me feels like I'm crazy. I know I did the right thing, but I tell people I'm in therapy for PTSD and depression, and I feel like I'm saying I'm crazy or broken.
No, it's CPTSD, man. If you're dealing with a narcissistic personality, it's CPTSD. All right. Those people are master manipulators. They condition you to love abuse. They bring you up and crash you down. And the craziest thing is that intelligent people, because you're intelligent, dude, is intelligent people hear what they're saying and don't translate it correctly. My narc ex literally said to me, my ex-husband, one that's in the hospital dying, my ex-husband taught me how to bring somebody up and crash them down to get whatever you wanted. That is a narcissistic trait, a tool. That is something that they do to fill you full of adrenaline and cortisol, to stick you into fight or flight. All the signs were there, and it's crazy. You know, it's the hopeless romantic thing. Dude, for me, it was the hopeless romantic thing, and it was an abandonment issue. Right? And whatever it was for you, you got to shore that up. You got to figure out what weakness it was used by that manipulator to tie themselves into you. The weakness is in you, just like it was in me. You got to figure it out and work through it. Definitely go to therapy, talk to life coaches, and I did. Talk to people and work through that. But they know what they're doing. Yeah, they know what they're doing. Okay. Anyway, I can't believe I said all that. I cannot believe I just said all that. But
No, but
well,
it's pertinent to the topic because you're talking about your skills in the finer dimensions.
I have been a dark art magician. All right. Not that I haven't cast light. It's just I've always said to myself, I'm not good at that. And I go where it's easy. And the dark side is easy. It's
Yes.
easy. I think the dark
Quicker,
side is easy.
more
Guys, I've always
seductive.
it's crazy. I've always referenced a lot of these powers to Star Wars like terms and
There's
stuff.
a reason the man was given the inspiration, dude. He
Right,
was
and
speaking
so
universal truth.
the right, so the dark side is quicker. You get more power. That's why I've always gone that way, and I've kind of been angry at unresolved issues and shit. But what my karma, part of my karma and all that, what happened is running into someone who was more deceptive, more black, more like evil, like crafted in that way, crafted in every way to destroy me, and that was my part of the karma. You know, like her karma's on her and whatever the fuck, but like that was the lesson: become light. You know, like it's time to go to the light, Steve, because you are not the biggest badass fucking psychic black necromancer fucking, you know, you're not the best. You know,
There's always going to be someone more hungry.
there's always going to be there's always a bigger fish. So
Yeah. And even if you're
anyway,
the biggest badass on planet Earth, guess who's going to come to you next? Yeah.
right. So okay,
Yeah.
so my question my statement's last question is
Uh-huh.
this. Okay, so I was talking about projection into other realms, which is something that I did a lot when I was younger. I didn't do a little bit for a while, but I've been doing that again for the last few years because, to be fair, she was attached to the coven that I used to do that with. And right, I know. So, well, okay, you were talking about going into the certain planes, projecting the planes where you can run into ETs or other
Yes.
other entities. I have, since I was young, and I could do it now, go to places where there are beings that I've always considered gods, demigods, godlike, powerful creatures, not human, not of this world, not of, you know what I mean, and interacted with these things. It's kind of part of my religion. It's kind of part of like where I come, like Lodonis Kirai comes from that stuff that I did, you know, but that's why I call myself that. And is there a chance that I'm not actually interacting with higher dimensional, extra dimensional beings, but like, or spiritual beings, but that they might actually be ETs? Like, how can you tell the difference?
I guess you would have to describe the interaction a little bit more. Like, is there something specific that you're thinking of?
Okay. God, okay, priestesses. All right. Think about like if you just went into a dream and you went to like the Oracle of Delphi. All right. Something like that. And you are interacting with a being that is closer to source, or a different form of source, or something that you can garner wisdom from. You know, you're looking for a certain type of wisdom. The exchange isn't necessarily worded. It's through thought and form. You know, it's like it's that kind of exchange through like energy, thought exchange.
Okay. I guess the best way I could answer that question, because are you doubting the veracity of your experience of these?
No, I'm just
gods, or
I'm wondering if
if you misconstrued a god.
Yeah,
for
that's what
or
I'm
an
asking.
ET.
Like, because some of the things you're talking about, like, it really takes me back into some of the experiences that I've had. And most especially when I was really into it. When I was younger, I was, you know, there was a group of us that were doing this together.
Well, I guess the best way I can think to explain it, it's kind of like if you're fucking around with a Ouija board and a mischievous spirit wants to come and like tell you whatever you want to hear and just start speaking bullshit. That's
Dealt
one
with
of
those
those
too.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that I would hold as an example of is people who are open channels, and you know, they just start spewing bullshit. That's another instance where you're being fucked with. But typically, if you're encountering like an infleshed ET, it's like a ego and a personality cult kind of thing. And again, like Ashtar Command is just like screaming loud in my head.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Things like
All
that.
right.
So they will seek to establish like a treaty or like a, you're my guy on the ground kind of thing. And it's up to you to convince all these people to listen to me and me
Yeah,
by
dude.
name, that kind of
Yeah,
shit.
dude. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. The court. So there was a court. All right, like a king's court, like a
Yep.
royal court or something.
Yep.
And that is where I would manifest in astral form. And sometimes my buddy or a couple but would go to this place. And yes, that's exactly. You are this to me. And
Mhm.
I need you to go back and spread this message and be this or do this. This is what we are the kings and the queens. You are the princes. You are the knights.
Yeah.
You're like that. And you need to do this for me.
If you're
Yes, that's
being
exactly
asked
what I'm talking, dude. That's
to
exactly
act
what
in
I'm
their
talking
name.
about.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
No
No
shit. Then you know
shit.
that's that's
No
a
shit.
in-flesh
Wow.
being with an ego.
Holy shit. And that wasn't like, wow. We got to talk off air because oh my god, just like oh my god. Okay,
That's cool.
All right.
Well, this is cool because it's you're kind of leading into the direction that I wanted to go anyway. So recently, and this is in the past 2 weeks.
Holy shit!
I
Sorry.
had a co-dream experience with my daughter, and we didn't plan it out. It just fucking happened, and I just so happened to talk to her the next day, and I was like, hey, little girl, I had a dream about you last night. And she goes, really? And I described to her the dream, and she goes, you want to know something, Daddy? And I said, what? And she goes, I had that same exact dream last night.
That is incredible. Damn right.
Yeah.
Isn't that an awesome experience?
Yeah. So she's 10 years
That's
old.
awesome.
She's getting really like interested in dreaming. She's asking me about like, so I had this dream and like, blah, blah, blah. And I started talking to her about like, how did you feel in the moment? Did you feel happy? Did you feel sad? Did you feel scared? Was it great? And she's having dreams where she's so she reads a lot of like junior fantasy stuff. She's really into dragons and things like that. So she had
Nice.
this dream. Yeah, this isn't the dream that we shared, but she had this dream where she was telling me that she was a dragon and she was captured and put into a prison, but then she escaped the prison and dismantled the security features and was able to free all the other captured dragons. So I was like, that's a great dream, babe.
That is awesome.
Yeah. But the dream that I had that we shared together, we had slightly different versions, but like 90% of this shit was aligned. So I was in this gigantic white house. I was visiting some friends or something. My blood brother was there, my sibling. And we were walking around kind of like talking about something. And I looked out the back door. My daughter ran past me. And I remember stopping her before she got to the back door. And I was like, hey, we're going to be in here. Do you want to come and hang out with us? And she goes, no, I think I want to go back in the backyard and play with the other kids. So I was like, okay, I'll come and check on you in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm talking to my brother about whatever. And then I got this feeling like, I haven't seen my daughter for a little bit. So I'm going to go check on her. And I go, and I remember there were like vertical white slats, that you have to like twist the thing open. I didn't twist the thing open. I just like split them and I pulled open the glass door and I walk outside and there's a group of kids, including my daughter. But then I look up and there's this male child standing on the balcony and he's waving his dick around, and I was like, I looked at him and I looked at my daughter and I was like, I went into dad mode. I was like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Get the fuck down off that thing. And, he's this little kid. I'm like, you put that fucking thing away. And I started just like wagging my finger at him. And there's like a bunch of kids standing around and he's trying to be like, you're not my dad. And I was like, I don't give a shit. I'm her dad. You don't fucking do this in front of my fucking kid. I will kick your ass, you little shit.
So was that another entity? Because that's what I'm picking up.
Well, and here's what's funny is because my daughter was like, Daddy, it's really not that big a deal. And I was like, yes, it is. This kid's doing something inappropriate in front of you. I'm not going to stand for it. I'm your fucking father.
That thing had been coming to your daughter for a while.
So here's
whatever that is. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the weird thing is like, so the next day I woke up and you know, I call her at night to tell her good night because she lives with her mother, at least for now. And I was like, yeah. So I told her that whole dream, and she goes, you know, it's weird, Dad. And I was like, what? And she goes, I had that same dream last night. There was a boy hanging around, and he was doing weird things. I was like, was he waving his wang at you? And she was like, no, but he was just doing weird things. And you came out and yelled at him. And I was like, oh my God, Daddy.
That's an entity, dude.
I
You were
believe it.
protecting her. Yeah, you were protecting her. I know
So
it. Yeah, go ahead.
so I started talking to her, and I was like, listen, the older you get, especially like once you start getting 12, 13 and your hormones start kicking in, things like this are going to happen and you have to pay attention to it. And I don't want to say like it's because you're my daughter, but like there is a genetic component to it. I did consciously call her spirit into the body when her mother was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
We have a bond that's like past this world.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that as she ages, other entities are going to become interested in her.
Yeah, she's going to develop. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
But
So,
right now, she's at that pure state.
Yep.
You know, so whatever that was, dude. Like, do you know how to deal with that kind of stuff? Because I do.
I'd be interested to hear about it. Go ahead.
Okay, we'll talk off air. All right.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Yeah, because that is something coming in to create chaos. Your natural connection to her drew you to protect the angels, the spirits, the ancestors between you and her. That connection drew you into that to protect you, to ward that off. That is a dark entity. That is a chaos, which a demon, basically, for lack of a better term, that is coming to fuck with her because of her light, because of the exuberance of her light. That's exactly what that was, bro. There is a way. Good job. Good job.
Yeah, not on my watch. And I actually, the hairs on my arms just stood up. So that's how I know that. We got the CJH Entertainment. He says, greetings. What's up, dude? CJ? Yeah. Welcome to the show. We're just talking about far out and freaky topics. Have you ever dream walked with any of your children consciously to where they can recall it?
Not to this point. I don't think
that might be an interesting experiment to try sometime.
I think I am.
If they're open to it.
Well, they absolutely are. Coming here, like I said, the next stage of my development after what happened, which is probably why the freaking outlets exploded. My spirits freaked out when I had Narc X here, is because this, where I'm at right now, is the next step in my evolution, you know, in repairing generational traumas and doing things. Because I've got both my sons in the same roof. Never had that before.
Well, again, we got Drew saying,
what's up, Drew?
What's he saying? It's so tiny on my thing. I have to look at my.
I got it. You want to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Excuse me. He says, I got to fix mine. The high empath I am, I know I can. She's filled with pain and trauma, and she's essentially told me she's at the very least got a narc tendencies. I know I can help her heal. That might not be for you. So, yeah, I mean,
exploding.
Yeah. You got to follow, understand where you're at. You can't see with clarity. Because you're so entangled, especially if you're having sex, you're exchanging sacred energy with this person.
Right.
You know, go with your gut's distorted, but go with your gut. I, for the longest time, thought I was here to heal Narc X, that I was here to, you know, open a door for her, to allow her to evolve. And that's not the case. She found a guy who is just as black and demonic as she is. You know, and they're fucking destroying lives together. You know, it's what it is. You know, we fool ourselves with our good hearts, and our insecurities will play on us, and dark entities. Drew, I guarantee you've got something possessing you, connected to you, that is not a guardian spirit, that is not a protector spirit, not an ancestor, and it is pulling you towards this energy because they're getting off on it. Because that was happening to me too.
Well, especially as you wallow in negativity,
Oh yeah, you're
gonna,
resonating
yeah.
low like that. Yeah, and then you're like begging for it.
Low
So
level
you,
entities feed off of that shit, literally. That's how they sustain themselves, and they will
yeah.
steer you and encourage you. Like Steven was just talking about, he was at a low point considering suicide, and he had like this Palpatine, do it.
Mm. Wrote
Yeah.
up right at Universal Studios. I'm about to go
Yeah.
meet the G&G guys and everybody and have a great time. First time in like months. I've been wallowing in misery for months. I've had people stalking me online. John Delaroses and all their fucking people, and Ethan's people, and fucking her and all their people, and all of them just poking at me in every fucking direction. Will you kill yourself? Are you gonna kill yourself? Fucking kill yourself. And I
Mm.
finally got over that. And I'm just sitting down, having a smoke. And this demon rolls up in the form of a security guard and says, do you, he goes, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. What's going on? Well, it's just that we can replace cars, not people. What are you trying to say? And in
Mm.
every single way, that's how that whole 8 minutes of this, I tried to get this person to say, are you asking me if I'm going to kill myself? And for 8 minutes, this demon in human form was like, I just want to make sure you're okay. Just refuse to say, yeah, I'm here to see if you're going to fucking kill yourself. Because you look really positive today. And I understand all these demons all around you in human form, all over fucking social media and all in your, have been trying to poke you and get you to kill yourself. And you haven't done it yet. So I just want to make sure. Do I need to help you with this? You're going to kill yourself today? That shit happens. And that's because when you have unresolved issues, when you have unhealed damage, when there's something broken inside of you, your core, your inner child, something, no matter what you manifest, no matter what progression you make in life, you are constantly resonating a frequency so low that it is going to attract. It's like building it's like creating a foundation for a building, but the foundation has a crack, a huge crack through the middle, and at any point in time, that building can collapse or something can happen. And that's what that low vibration is. That's what it is with it to have something broken inside of you. So you've got to fix that first before you can see things with clarity. Once I broke that, like once I fixed that in me, and God's helped me, Narcex came around one more time, but I could see her. But I could see who this person was. All the bullshit, all the manipulation. I could hear the double talk. I could see how she was using memories and words and creating circumstances to trigger me or pull me into a triggering situation. You can see it. It's a matter of clarity and self-understanding and self-mastery. But we all go through this life and we get tested. We're all put into conditions that might break us. We all been like, all of us have been in our own way. And if you leave that unresolved, if you don't face it, if you cover it up with ego, or you cover it up with like self-delusion, which is why narcissists are the way they are, because they don't face their shit. They bullshit themselves. They'll and they may even know what the problem is. Narcex has come to me and said, I have daddy issues because of this. And I literally was trying to help her find her dad and get a detective and all that. And her answer to that was hurt me hard as fuck, ghost me and go to the demon and ignore me.
Not interested in healing her trauma.
Not interested in healing trauma at all.
It affords her too much of the fucking dark energy she craves.
Exactly. And what I didn't understand for the longest time, and what people like that don't understand, is that the dark ways are quick. You get power. You definitely get results right away, but it destroys you. And you lose your ability to manifest good things. You lose so much. And if you fall into it, if you let depression, anxiety, fear, aggression, if you let these things overrun you, then you are vibrating at a frequency that attracts dark entities. And those and they're going to hang around you because it's a fucking field day. They're ready for the Jerry Springer show. And they're going to pull other things into your life that are going to add to the chaos. And they're going to, and eventually, if you become a person who's just like, fuck it, I just want to hurt other people to feel better, and you just go down that road, you will become possessed. You will lose the light in your soul.
Yeah.
And you become demonic.
We were talking about MGTOW earlier. Imagine when she hits the wall and men don't pay attention to her anymore.
Dude, she's hitting the wall right now. She got scabs on. She looks like she's 45.
And
I swear to
meanwhile,
God.
she's traumatizing her own kid.
Yeah, I tried to point that out too, right? I tried to point that out too. You know, the example you're making, because her kid is like my son. My son, when he was young, was very observant. My son is incredibly observant, and he learns on the fly. Thank God the lessons that I went through, he went through that road with me, whether he was with me or not, and learned from them. But you know, her kid's completely observant. We were sitting and strong. The two of it is true that when the two of us are together, our powers, for some reason, increase. And I watched her literally smack her own kid twice with her mind. Like the first time it happened, we laughed. Like she was doing something ignorant, and then she like tripped over or something. You could tell the difference between like just you could tell the difference, you know. And she looked at me. She looked at me and smirked. I looked at her. I said, "Stop doing that. It's fucked up." And then we're sitting over there, and the kid kept acting wild a little bit. And then she literally got smacked. Like something just fell over, boom, smacked her. And I was like, stop! Like, that's fucked up. What are you doing? But she doesn't care. Just because you're evil doesn't mean you don't have power and you're not strong. Just because you're like an illusion, being an illusionist can create things just as much as manifestation. It's just a different energy, right? So my ex is an illusionist.
It's manipulative, yeah.
Right. My ex is an illusionist. She can create and manifest things. I've seen it happen. I need to be willpower. I have been willpower. Rogue was willpower. And then I got suckered in by an illusionist. My energy got fucked up because I was exchanging it with a whole bunch of sick people and a toxic. And then it started going into illusion, and that's why everything fell the fuck apart. That's why I fell apart. You know, like that's the difference between the two. But the thing about an illusionist is what they create, what they manifest, has a crack in the foundation, and at any point in time, it can fall apart, or people can see them for the illusionist that they are. When you create something with willpower, that's a strong foundation, and the only way that can fall down is by you destroying it. And anybody looking at that will see it for what it is, a strong foundation. And the reason that people hate, this is another thing. Another reason that people hate strong, good people. If you're a person who has a good core, good resonance, good intentions, you're creating things through willpower. The people that will seek to destroy you or hate you are people who live in the dark side, are people who are illusionists, who have anxiety issues, who have dark entities around them. And so that's why, like, literally, when I go back to rebuilding again, when I go back to being like who I was, but a better version of it, when those types of people come around, like, I'm not going to stand for them. Anybody talking shit, flying monkeys, hate networks, smear networks, all that, they're all fucking demons. They are people who hate themselves. And they love fight and conflict. And they doubt themselves. And so they look at you, and because they don't like themselves and they doubt themselves, they look at you and they see a mirror and they fucking can't stand it. They want to fucking break that mirror. Understand that. When you're dealing with a toxic woman like that, bro, when you're dealing with a toxic woman like that, it is the same fucking thing. It's the same thing. That person is your enemy. No amount of love can heal. Dude, Drew, please go to my channel after this, Dragonstorm, and watch my last video. It's a half hour long, but just watch it. Please just watch it, because it is all real talk, bro. It is not ego. Okay, and when I start shifting into ego, I stop myself. Trust me, that is all real talk. What you're going through, that'll help you. All right, I'm done ranting. I'm sorry.
Now, Siege actually has a really good a couple comments here. He says, hang on. I had a dream the other night about a demon showing up, and then I called out in God's name, and an archangel showed up, and then the dream ended.
That is incredible, Deej.
Yeah. He then goes on to say, I was feeling
CJ.
I was feeling very calm at the start of the year, despite knowing that the end might be near, but I felt great. I felt like I had hope despite the red flags. Then after that dream, depression hit for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So if there are dark forces, because CJ, you fight with us all the time. I know. It's a resonance thing. It's that's your weakness. Your weakness is depression and self-doubt. And if when you give into that, like, even until you've overcome that, you are everything that you do is going to have a crack in the foundation. There is a subtle, low vibrational resonance that you are putting out into the universe that is going to attract defeat, things that reinforce your doubts, your self-doubts, and also dark entities who want to come through and create chaos and feed off that and watch the Jerry Springer show while sitting on your shoulder.
Mhm.
So that's what that was. Archangel Gabriel saved my fucking ass. All right, I'm telling you, that dark entity that was attached to me for the longest time that loved my ex, um, Archangel Gabriel took that from me. Yeah, and I had to have a psychic medium help me with that. That angel, the archangel that came to help you, yes, absolutely. The reason that you got depression after that dream is because there is a hole that you usually fill up. All right. It usually fill up with anxiety, self doubt, and self loathing. And that's where those entities sit in. That's where those dark entities come and sit in and fuck with you and try and draw things in and create the Springer show. And when that archangel came and got rid of it, that bowl of depression was empty. Your job is to fight that depression and fill that bowl with love, protection, fill that bowl with inspiration. With that's what you need to do, because that was a gift. The reason you feel that is because you instinctively want to go to that place, because that is what you filled that part of yourself with. That part of yourself is now empty because an angelic creature came through and got rid of it. Don't let that bowl fill back up, because if you do, you're going to go through the same thing. You want to inspire. You want to be inspired. You want to feel good about yourself. Use mantras. Get out in the sun. Say positive affirmations. Believe in yourself. Fill it with love. That's an amazing experience. And again, thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, Lord, Lady Source. Man, be thankful and blessed every day, because you just got saved.
Well, I want to add psychodynamically, and if you can see auras, when you're in a negative energetic state with somebody who's taking from you, your fields kind of get used to that exchange.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, say that exchange gets cut off, like you still have that tendency to want to push out that energy, so you'll either attach yourself to somebody else, or you have to learn how to reel that back in and get it from the universe instead, which is the more healthy way to do it.
If it's a person, cord cutting ceremony helps.
There you go. Or even if it's a non-physical entity, there are things that you can do to rid yourself from it. And really, it's an assertion of will. All these ceremonies and all this kind of stuff is just a reassertion of will and of boundary and of standing tall in yourself and just being your own fucking being. A lot of people have a hard time just being alone or just being themselves. And we're talking about, like Drew here, he's talking about he's had a lot of trials, the same as Job and all that kind of shit. A lot of us can't conceptualize of just being ourselves. I've been forced to be alone and to deal with like environment and willpower and choice, and is what I want. I've had the opportunity to destroy myself. I've had the opportunity to recreate myself. I've had highs and I've had lows. But I am firmly convinced that there's something that I'm supposed to do here, and to take myself out would be to thwart the will of the universe and my own personal spiritual trajectory. It's incredibly selfish to take yourself out of the game, because number one, you're not assessing it from a fully awake spiritual perspective. You're assessing it from a mind body perspective. A lot of the times, the things that evolve our spirits aren't comfortable for our bodies and for our minds to think about, because of course we want to be cushy, we want to be well fed, we want to be warm and fat and happy and being jerked off and all that kind of stuff. But that's not where spiritual growth happens. Where spiritual growth happens? It's when you're homeless and you're in the back of your fucking car and you're contemplating eating dog food because it's cheaper. That kind of stuff. It's humbling to the character, but once you climb out of that, you're twice as powerful, if not 3 times more as powerful as you were before the experience happened. Now, I'm not saying go out and look for a brick wall to slam yourself into on purpose. I'm just saying that when you're suffering, notice that there is a purpose towards the suffering.
Yes.
And there are actually people who are clawing tooth and nail to get to the point of where you are as you're suffering.
Hmm.
You know, you read the Bible, right? Jesus hung out with like lepers and whores and fucking weirdos, and riding public transit. That's pretty much all who I meet every day. I was out of work for about a month because I had a hand injury and I work with my hands. And I would go to the store and there would be these just like fucking disassociated, like psychotic philosophers that would want to talk to me about life. And sometimes I could make sense to them, but then their schizophrenia would assert themselves and they'd get stuck on scripture or whatever and just, but there's a purpose and a rhyme and a reason for every place that you exist at and everybody that you talk to. And you just have to figure out what you can add to the circumstance. And sometimes if subtracting yourself from the circumstance is what you need to do, then that's what you need to fucking do and just do it.
Yeah, brother.
There we go. I love this show. I love the
Yeah, me
chat.
too.
Hell to the chat, fucking thumbs
Yeah.
up and all that kind of stuff. But we are sitting at about the 3-hour mark, so I'm gonna go ahead and close it down for this week. We've had a lot of really powerful topics, and I'm really impressed with you, Steven, on your ability to like foresee how the show was gonna go, because I wrote
Dude,
a little script for it, and you were just like, bam, like right there.
brother, I'm on a whole other level. The clarity, and I'm thankful. Thank you, God. Thank you
Yeah.
for all of the trials and tribulations I've had to overcome, and the inner work that I've done, and just and thank you. I'm very thankful. Thank you all my spirits. Thank you all my ancestors for not burning down the kitchen. Um, and thank you for looking out for me. Really, I mean, I'm very thankful. It's when I still have a lot of work to do, but when you work on yourself, guys, especially after you've been like what Coil just said, there's a reason you go through traumatic experiences, there's a reason you go through suffering. The Buddha went through a lot of suffering to find enlightenment. It is a part of life, and it is a lesson to help you learn. The longer that you refuse to learn the lesson, then the longer it's going to take for you to get out of what you're going through. But yeah, dude, thank you so much for having me here, and we have a good deep spiritual connection, and just the fact that you said that to me makes me feel like I'm resonating higher and I'm doing better. So thank you so much. Should I just do an outro from here?
Yeah, go ahead. Tell them where you can find them and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, I am author Stephen Walton. I don't do shit now. You will not find me on Twitter. You will not find me on social unless I'm clowning somebody on Facebook, which I'm not going to do no more because I'm done. But please check out my channel, Adonis Dragonstorm. I'm going to be continuing my work there. If you guys have ever been through a situation dealing with a relationship with a narcissist or any type of really toxic, manipulative person, you can see my hard fought wisdom and mistakes over on that channel. And thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you. And remember, guys, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and suffer no fools.
Right on. And I'm Immortal Coil. You can find me here Sunday nights, going into Monday mornings with this asshole. Talking about the savage, talking about the spiritual. I want to invite you guys one last time to lift high whatever it is you are imbibing. Join me in the savage salute. Here is to us what is like us, not a goddamn thing. Good night.